Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've even seen some people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we got, of course, another interesting subject, because that's all I'm going to do over here at the Roger Report Live. It ain't interesting. We ain't doing it. Okay? And today we are going to deal with the question of why black men won't stop oppressing women. Yes, y'all, we deal with some serious stuff over here. So we're going to lay it on the table, y'all. We're going to lay it on the table, and we're going to talk about why black men won't stop oppressing women. Because, hey, it's 2026 now. And we have a lot of people who share the sentiment that black men do a little bit too much oppression of women. Hey, if you just open up your eyes and open up your ears, you will be able to see and hear some black man being accused of misogyny on a regular basis. It happens all the time. Happens all the time. People say that black men get a little too out of pocket with their quote unquote black male privilege. Okay. They get too out of pocket with their black male privilege. All right. Okay. And this is concerning to a lot of people in America, y'all. It's concerning to a lot of people in America. It's concerning to white men. It's concerning to black women. It's concerning to white women. It's concerning to Asian men, Asian women, so on, so forth. Heck, it's even concerning to black men. Yep. It's even concerning to black men. A lot of emphasis is put on this subject. But before we go too deep off into this, let me say shout out to all the folks who give me views on a regular basis. I definitely appreciate y'all for coming through the way that y'all do. I mean, I give great entertainment. I give great things to listen to, great things to learn from, great experiences being shared. I'm glad you're here for all of it. So shout out to everybody who comes and listen on a regular basis. Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to all the people who leave comments after streams. You're doing a great deal. You help me out a great time. Sometimes, y'all, I even pull shows out the comment section sometimes too. Questions people ask, statements people make, I can get shows from. So shout out to all y'all, for what you do and helping with the algorithm. Shout out to everybody who hits that like button. Y'all know that's the main thing of how to push a video on this particular platform. So make sure you continue to hit that like button every chance you get. And shout out to all the people hyping me up every chance they get. All this helps. Okay. You may not be able to do what other people can do, but you can do those things and they all for free. So shout out to everybody who elects to do that. You're helping the world when it comes down to it. You're helping the world. And shout out to everybody who goes above and beyond the call of duty. They become financial contributors over here at the Roger Report Live. Y'all allow me to do things I just cannot do without you. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it. And that's why we're able to get into these hard-hitting subjects, y'all. We are able to get in these hard-hitting subjects because of people who, they throw a little something on the plate, okay? And it makes things a whole lot better. So shout out to the sponsor of today's stream, Death Before Dishonor. This one's for you. Death Before Dishonor is the sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. And even looking at that name, what an integral name, y'all. That the name just says integrity just through and through. Death Before Dishonor. Can't help but to like that. And I guess it's mighty fitting that this name would come up on a stream like today. Why black men won't stop oppressing women. Y'all, what should we do? Because all of America is concerned with black men's oppression of women. And I think this is a conversation that we need to have. Shout out to Black Guru. He don't even know it. I stole the idea off him. He said we need to have an honest conversation about the oppression of women. Okay? With that great wisdom that he put out that he didn't even know I saw. Okay? I was like, Black Guru's right. We do need to have a honest conversation about the oppression of women. All right? And black men, you need to know where you fit in that conversation. You need to know exactly where you fit in that conversation. Now, let's keep it real, y'all. This country has had a horrid past, okay? Shout out to all the people who live outside of America. I love and appreciate y'all. And I know there's places that are similar, but I know some places going to be a little bit different. Well, we had a little thing over here that y'all may have heard something about called slavery, okay? We had a thing over here going on for a while called slavery. Yeah, we had it. And I know some of y'all can understand because y'all done dealt with some slavery in the past, but we had something called slavery. Y'all might have an idea of how things like that go. Okay, y'all might have an idea about that. All right. So we had this thing called slavery. Y'all know who the targets of slavery was? Believe it or not, it was black men. Believe it or not, it was black men. And black men who went through slavery, and then it wasn't like people who wasn't involved in slavery, just had it sweet. I mean, there were some black people in the country that never had to be slaves. It ain't like they had it sweet either. Okay, it ain't like they had it sweet, but there is an idea that black men have been oppressing women. So I say, let's look at this. Let's examine this. When did this happen? How did this happen? And I guess when you are a slave, all right, when you're a slave and you got to worry about picking cotton or whatever it is that you was made to pick, if you got to worry about survival, you have to worry about, pleasing the master, in whatever way he wanted to be pleased in. You trying to protect your family as best you can. And a lot of that don't last too long because, people start finding out your family listen to you a little too much. They do stuff like sell you off to a different plantation, trade you for somebody else. A lot of things were interrupted when it comes to black men raising their families. It just wasn't a great thing it wasn't a thing that was liked by white folks during those times. Okay. White folks didn't want you running your own family. And they went through a whole lot of trouble to make sure you didn't. And I guess while we were slaves, we're human beings, we had emotions at the time. We were actual slaves, forced to forget about the languages that we used to speak before we were put into slavery. Couldn't tell people the history that you had gone through before you were put into slavery. Then you got people who were born right in it the whole time, lived the entire lives in slavery. Now, somehow these black men went through something where supposedly oppression happened, where they were oppressing women. Yet somehow slaves were oppressing women. Does that make sense? The slaves were oppressing women. Or was it the free Negroes, as they were called back in those days? Was it the free Negroes oppressing the women? A free Negro who one wrong move, he could end up in slavery himself at any given time. Heck, there were free Negroes that were taken, literally kidnapped, and then placed onto slave plantations. They even made a movie about it. Okay, they even made a movie about it. Whole reason the slaves were black was so black people could identify a little bit easier than trying to find some random white man. So I guess during those times, according to what women say, I'm supposed to believe that somehow black men developed this quote unquote hatred for black women and start oppressing them when they out there trying to stay free. They trying to stay, the ones who had freedom trying to stay free, the ones who didn't have freedom trying to get free. And even though they had all these little slave rebellions and things going on, and I understand history don't like to report too much about this type of stuff, I guess somewhere along those lines, they must have learned how to hate black women because they were constantly fighting white men and white women. That's what people would have us believe. Now, sometimes you got to put your own thinking cap on, y'all. I think I heard about the thinking cap in maybe it was third grade, maybe it was second grade. Hey, might have been in kindergarten. I don't know. I just know I was young when they first told me about the thinking cap, And I had this crazy idea, y'all, this crazy idea. Why don't I just leave my thinking cap on all the time? Okay? Why don't just leave it on all the time? Okay? So, as a person who not too quick to take off his thinking cap, I hear the stories that people tell. I hear the narratives people paint. And I just try to figure out, how could this happen amongst humans? So you got black men who are trying to stay free. You got black men who are being oppressed themselves by going through slavery. And somehow in all that time, they somehow developed a hatred for black women, even though they were constantly fighting white men and technically white women too. But somehow they built a hatred up toward black women. Now, humans are humans. There's certain psychological things that happen. This don't make a lick of sense, okay? This don't make a lick of sense. Okay, men, usually more logical than women. How do we logically get to hating black women because a white man got you enslaved? How do you logically get to hating black women? Yeah, no way for that to really happen. Now, when you can examine things and examine these narratives that people paint, then they say you're a misogynist for thinking that way. No, misogyny got something to do with hating women. Putting on your thinking cap got something to do with second, third grade education, maybe first grade, possibly even kindergarten. So you telling me I was raised to be a critical thinker by my own parents. School had this whole section of stuff called critical thinking. So we go through all that critical thinking, and somehow as an adult, I'm not supposed to critically think anymore. Okay, so the black man was oppressing black women during slavery. Yeah, I don't see how you make that work. Okay, I just don't see how you make that work. Okay. Now, slavery came to its quote unquote official end in 1865, even though you still can be a slave as long as you're convicted of a crime. But it came to its quote unquote official end in 1865. So am I supposed to believe that because slavery came to an official end in 1865, you had black men that were making all kinds of sacrifices to take care of their family? Because it ain't like slavery ended and they got something. Slavery ended and they got nothing. And a lot of black men had to go make a deal with his former slave master so he can continue to pick the cotton or whatever it was that they was picking at the time and continue working for said master. Now, said master don't really want to pay the man for what he's doing. All the slave really can do is turn over everything picked to the master, and master can go and say he got whatever amount he want to say that he got for it. There's no way for a black man to check behind master or former master at that point. There's no way for a black man to even check behind to see if he getting a fair deal or not. And of course, white men were cheating the black families who continued to work for them, even though slavery came to its official end. Now, somehow I'm supposed to believe why a man who probably had to work about 16 hours a day, somehow linked up with other men that also had to work 16 hours a day. And they had a bunch of discussions about how they can oppress women. And they figured out how they going to put this thing together. You know what we need to do? We need to learn how to oppress these women. Because we out here working like 16 hours a day. Yeah, a lot of people forget wasn't no laws about the workday back then. Okay? You work from sun up to sundown. Now, I don't know how Jethro was having conversations with Junebug, even though both of them trying to do everything they can for about 16 hours a day to get pennies on the dollar for the work that they was doing. I don't know how these guys got together and discussed a plan on how they was going to be able to, quote unquote, oppress women. I don't know. Okay, I believe I'm a smart man. I do believe I'm a smart man. I think God gave me a healthy dose of intelligence. And I just can't figure that one out. How you working that hard in that sun, picking all that cotton and all that other stuff you had to do, and yet you was able to come together with other black men and figure out how we going to oppress women? Yeah, that sounds difficult. That sounds difficult. That's all I'm saying. Black men do some amazing things, but that sounds pretty difficult. Now, I also would have to believe that other black men who, quote unquote, didn't hate the women went along with the oppression of women, even though they wasn't mad at them. So you had some black men who somehow developed hatred toward black women for what the white folks was doing. And they had to convince black men who weren't mad at black women to participate in the oppression of black women, even though they were literally going through oppression themselves. I'm just going to say that that's interesting. That is very interesting. So you had black men who came up with all types of inventions and things, who couldn't even get their ideas patented. Somehow those men were able to oppress women. That's interesting. That's a very interesting concept. And as I think about oppression, I wonder what those men stopped women from doing. What did they stop the women from doing? It's 1865, y'all. What they stopped women from doing? Hold on one moment. Let me take care of this super chat. Shout out to my main man, Landon. Landon, what's good, my brother? Landon says, let them tell it, black men were pimping even during slavery. Yeah, I mean, they say a lot of stuff, don't they? They say a lot of stuff, don't they? You know, I guess every 6 bales of cotton you pick, you get a break, and then you go out to the stroll and make sure your woman is taken care of as you pimp out. You gotta get you 6 bales, you gotta get, you gotta get you 6 bales of cotton first. Then you can go pimp your woman for a break, and then you come on back and do the rest of your 16 hours. I guess that's how it went. Okay. I guess that's how it went. Okay. But we need to figure this out, y'all. We need to figure this out. Because black women say that they were oppressed. And then sometimes folks say it wasn't even just black women getting oppressed. We oppressed other women. And I find that to be interesting too. Country full of white people and black people. And whatever minority was available at the time, somehow we oppressed them too. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay. But we want to have a serious conversation about this, y'all. We want to have a serious conversation about this. Because they literally say it's in our blood, and we just ain't gonna stop when it comes to oppressing. Now, I want y'all to really think about what black men kept women from back in 1865. Did black men stop women from having a driver's license in 1865? Did that happen? Did it happen in 1870? Did it happen in 1890? Were we stopping black women from having their driver's license? I wonder. Maybe if we go up to 1903, did black men stop women from buying computers? And yes, I know what I said. If you new here and you think he said 1903, he must mean 2000. No, because we know it didn't happen in 2003. We know it didn't happen in 2003. So it must have been 1903 when black men somehow stopped women from buying computers. Okay? Shout out to Positive Vibes. I think she's thinking about this. Was people driving in 1870? I guess not, because black men were stopping the women. Okay? Black men were stopping the women in 1870, so I don't think they were driving back then. I don't think they was. Maybe the white man was, but the women? No, I think the black men had that on lock. We stopped them in 1870. See, we got free in 1865. It took us a few years to put things together. even though we still working off the white man's plantation and whatnot. But somehow, collectively, we had time to get together and figure out how to stop women from driving. Well, nobody getting no driver's license long as we had something to say about it. Long as we had something to say about it. Okay, well, no woman get their driver's license. They had to go through us way back in 1870. Yep. Was it 1915 when black men stopped women from being able to own property? Is that when that happened? Okay. Is that when that happened? Yeah. What was it then, y'all? Was it around that time? Yeah, maybe it was 1920. In 1920, black men went out and we took properties from women. We said, women, y'all can't own property. That's what we said, y'all. You can't own no property because black men say so. And the U.S. government let us, y'all. The U.S. government let us. They let us go around the country and take property deeds from women. And they let us file those property deeds and do what we wanted to do with them. Probably right around 1920, right around 1920. I think that's when we did that. Right around 1920, okay? Shout out to Detroit 313, okay? Appreciate the super chat, my brother, and thank you for helping me get off to the good start. He says, Kunta Kinte tax. Chocolate chip cookies makes you go number 2 tax. Get rich or die trying tax. Waiting to exhale remix tax. Fat women eats the world tax. Hot Cheetos gang tax. Shout out to Detroit 313, y'all. And see, y'all don't know what he just did right there. Y'all didn't catch what Detroit 313 just did right there. Detroit 313. He just listed all the taxes black men put on women right about 1872. Because we had to get free first. We remember we had to fight in the war, gain our freedom. Okay. Once the war was over, we had to get together and talk about it a little bit, even though we had to go get these crazy deals off the guy who was formerly our masters. And somehow by 1872, we came up with all these taxes that women had to pay. See, we didn't require white men to pay the Kunta Kinte tax. We didn't require that from white men. No. The chocolate chip cookie tax? No. That was specifically for women. Okay, that was specifically for women. Okay? Now it was an ideal at first, right about 1872. But it's like one of those things that people just kind of looked the other way about. And they knew we was enforcing it and they just kind of let us, And then next thing you know, we had a little trouble because it was a women's group right about, I'm gonna say 1875 that got together and they went to Congress. They went to Congress to say, black men are oppressing us. They said, what you mean? They said, we paying these fat women East the world tax and we don't want to pay them no more. And these black men just making us pay no matter what. And Congress looked at that women's group and they said, hey, how dare you come in here and complain about what black men are doing? That's what they said, y'all. How dare you come in here and complain about what black men are doing? They got you here paying the tax so they can go build communities for you, and we gonna bomb them later. That's what we gonna do. We're gonna allow them to tax you so they can build up their communities. And once they got the communities at the place that we're satisfied, then we're gonna drop some bombs on them. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You let that black man run rampant all over you. Why? Because we like them so much. See, we love black men. That's why we put them in slavery. Okay? That's how much we like them. You know, if it wasn't for them niggas fighting so well, we'd never let them niggas out of slavery. But since they did fight that well, and we had to let them out of slavery. We just had, you know, we said we got to do something now. We got to do something now because we respect them so much. Okay, so we're not gonna let them tax us because we're white men. But as a compromise, we're gonna let them tax the rest of the women in society. It's called the it's called the grand slavery departure deal. Okay. I think it was ratified in 1879. I think it was ratified in 1879 by Congress. Okay. You can look it up. You can look it up. Okay. You can look it up. Okay. And I know some of y'all like, man, Roger, you play too much. You play too much. No, trust me. Trust me. As soon as you find that bill, you're going to find all the different ways that black men were out here and we were oppressing women. You're going to find it. You're going to find all types of information right next to that bill. All types of information right next to that bill. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He says, exposing the magical thinking tax. Hey, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. But I don't want y'all to think for a second that that's not a real bill. Now, look it up. Okay, it was okay, if my memory's right, y'all, it was the Grand Slavery Departure Deal. Ratified about 1879, y'all. About 1879, it became official. See, at first, we were just doing it. Around 1872, we were just doing it. And the white man looked the other way the whole time. Not only did we oppress black women, we went right into white men's homes and told them they women got to pay us. And the white man said, okay. He didn't put up no fight. He just said, okay. You know, we went to the Native Americans' homes. We said, hey, y'all women got to pay us. And they was like, oh, it's cool. It's cool. Make her pay then. Make her pay. Some of them even asked, well, if she pay you, does that mean I got to pay her something to pay you? We was like, nah, we're going to let you keep your money because you a man. Okay. Because we were misogynists. You got to remember that too now. We were misogynists. We're going to let you keep your money because you a man. But your wife and your daughters, they got to pay us. That's what they got to do. All right. Now, if you want to help them, that's your business, but we don't want to know about it because we're men and we're all for men. Okay, we're all for men. Okay. And matter of fact, we even drawing up a bill right now. We're gonna call it the Grand Slavery Departure Deal. Okay. It's gonna take us a little time, but we're gonna get it through Congress. you know. Well, it's 1873. Why are you saying it's gonna take so long to do? Well, no, we niggas, we can't even read. We can't even read. We gotta go find the guys amongst us that can even read or write in the first place. But we got the whole thing worked out. So as soon as we find some niggas that can read, we gonna tell them what to write up. But we gotta find the niggas that can read first. See, we ain't got no cell phones yet, so it's a little bit difficult for us to communicate the way we want to. We don't have no cell phones. Plus, we still back on these other plantations. We got to put the rest of our 16 hours in. You mean to tell me your employer, your former master, let you come all this way to tax my wife and my daughter, and you still got to get back to work? Yeah, we got to put the rest of these 16 hours in. See, we only did about 2 hours, so we owe former master 14 hours. We got to get back to that and do that. We got to make that happen. Okay, we got to make that happen. So, but don't let you ever have it told to you and you believe it that we wasn't out here oppressing women. Don't you ever let somebody get that dirty rumor about us that we were not out here oppressing these women. Okay? Shout out to all my hoes demonetized. That name make me chuckle sometimes, y'all. He say, save all black women. Hashtag Rogers oppression. Well, see, that's what you got to, all my hoes demonetized. You got to remember, man, back in the 1870s, okay, you couldn't just hashtag somebody and tell them to stop the tyranny that black men was out here doing. Okay, you couldn't just hashtag something and the word get out. All right, remember that. Remember that. The hashtag wasn't what. Well, first of all, I was gonna say when the hashtag was invented, but it don't make an actual difference. Why? Remember, black men was oppressing women, and we didn't allow women to have computers back then. Okay, ever since way back in the 1870s, we did not know women to have computers. Not in 1870. So that hashtag wasn't gonna do nobody a lick of good. Okay. Not on our watch. Okay, not on our watch. Okay. Now, I understand a lot of y'all probably still pissed off because, I know some laws changing around 100 years later, about 1970, right? And black men could no longer legally stop women from buying computers back in 1970. Okay. So what happened was, since it was no longer legal for us to stop women from buying computers in 1970, we talked to Congress. They passed a bill to let women start buying computers. And the reason women have such difficulties buying computers right now to this day is because on the books, the laws, the grand slavery departure, it's parts of that bill, parts of those acts are still on the books. So it ain't as effective as it was back in 1870, because they made some changes in 1970. They repealed some of it. So we as black men, we had to let women get computers, but we could control the different accessories and things that they can buy. So when women try to go online and make a purchase, if we don't like the purchase, we have the capability to deny any particular purchase that they want to make off that computer. That we have that ability. Yes, in 2025, we as black men have the ability to go online and stop women from making whatever purchase they want to make online. Okay. Now, technically, they got us around 1933-ish, 33-ish, I think it was. I don't remember the dates exactly. But somewhere around 1933, they took black men's ability to go into stores and stop women from shopping. See, remember, up to 1933, we used to go to a store. We get some brothers together, we go to a store, and we stop a woman from going into the store and purchasing products. That's what we used to do. Now I get it. Some of y'all might be saying, well, how could y'all afford to do that? We couldn't, but we trained well. And because we trained well, we were able to keep this behavior up even through death. So yes. So all that stuff about zombies that y'all hear about nowadays, because you know how stuff can be built on something. All that stuff about zombies, it kind of came from when we used to still go out and we used to stop women from going into actual stores. And we used to stop them from making purchases that we didn't agree with. And because we couldn't maintain jobs at this time, and, we didn't really have land at that time. And, unfortunately, while we were stopping black women from getting driver's license, we never bought any cars ourselves. So we had to do everything by foot. So sometimes we kind of die along the way. But because of the excellent training we had, even though we were dead, we kept marching from store to store to store to stop black women from making purchases. And then, as you've been dead a while, and you marching from this place to that place, sometimes your liver just fall out. Okay. So the zombie story that y'all see like portrayed in the movie, this is based off black men going from store to store to store. But we died, of course, eventually. But our remains still marched with the crew. Okay. And as we march with the crew, sometime a limb will just fall off. Okay. You marching with the crew, sometimes your eye just fall out. It ain't like we was doing it purposely. We wasn't trying to, like, quote unquote, scare the women. We just wanted to stop them from making the purchases that they was making. the United States government was 100% with black men on this stuff. So even though it created some unsanitary conditions in certain places, they still allowed us to continue these marches, even though we were dying while we were doing it. And every once in a while, a body part would fall off. Yeah, unsanitary, yes, but it was that necessary for black men to keep women from making purchases. Okay? And our white United States government backed this ideal up so much that they gave us leadway for creating unsanitary situations. They gave us leeway. So we kept the march going. Truth be told, y'all, my great-great-granddaddy skeleton, we just got that thing to stop walking. Like within the last 10 years, we just got it to stop walking. That skeleton was used to walking for all them years, marching, trying to keep these women out of stores. We jumped my great-great-great-granddaddy skeleton. We had to jump him, y'all. I'm telling you, this is what we had to do as family members. It broke my heart to do it. It broke my heart to do it. I had to jump my great-great-great-granddaddy skeleton so we can get that thing to stop marching and stopping. We had to stop him from stopping women from making purchases. Okay? And as time went on and more stores were developed, he just got worse. We finally got him to stop marching. I literally had to take bones off his body. Literally. Okay? That's real talk. I know some of y'all don't believe me that I'm that dedicated, but no, I am. I am. Once he went to Bloomingdale's, I had to step in. I have to say, shame on me for letting him do it for so long. But he went in Neiman Marcus one time and scared some white women, and I had to stop him, okay? I had to stop him at that point. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't stop him at that point. I couldn't live with myself. So I had to do what I had to do. All right. Now, shout out to Bad Black Gamer. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. Appreciate the super chat. And shout out to you for the 57-cent trail Bentley tax. Appreciate you big time, my brother. He says, Roger, black men have to keep black women from all being married to white men. Yes, that's what we do, y'all. We got to get out there. Yeah, y'all, it's us, y'all. It's us. Don't buy into the hype the media telling you. Don't buy into what white men say. Don't buy into none of that stuff, y'all. It's black men that's keeping black women from marrying white men. It's us. It's been us the whole time. It's been us the whole time, y'all. We oppressing these women, man. Okay, we oppressing them. It's been us the whole time. The whole time. Okay? Shout out to Peasant the Legend. He said, damn, we're diabolical. With our oppression, too funny. Man, hey, we black men, we make it happen, man. We do what we got to do when something needs to be done. Okay? We do what we got to do when something needs to be done. And I'm going to say, shout out to Hero for Hire. See, that was the white man spreading propaganda, y'all. Y'all know that popular show when we was kids, He-Man? Okay? See, what the white man did was they came in and they seen our story about how we was doing stuff. And they tried to make us into a villain. Okay? And y'all know what they did? They created a person called Skeletor, a character. Skeletor was a caricature of the black men who was marching around stopping women from shopping at certain stores and how we was dying off, and someday your face fall off because you've been dead for 19 weeks, okay? Because from what I hear, according to the documentation, they didn't count years back then. They did it like they did the babies. You know how when you a baby, they count you by months and stuff like that. So they wasn't doing like years. It was like, you this many weeks or this many months and stuff like that. That's how they used to count it. Now, after maybe 100 years or so, then they started bringing it to years too, or how long a guy been out there keeping women out of stores. Okay, so Skeletor was supposed to be black men. Okay, the dead black men that fought to keep women out of stores. that the government endorsed, that the U.S. government endorsed, okay? Keep in mind, y'all, we had to get the U.S. government to stand with us so we could oppress women, okay? Because black men are misogynists, okay? We had to do that. Shout out to Kanguru. He said, Roger, these oppressive black men force black women to wear wigs. We must do better. Well, see, this is the thing, man. This is the thing. See, right about 1896, some black men got together. Because keep in mind, 1896, that gave us about 31 years of being out of slavery, right? So about 1896, some black men, we took a voyage over to China. Okay. And the you know, those wonderful Chinese people welcomed us. They welcomed us. And then we gave them chitlins, right? Because the Chinese hadn't discovered chitlins, right? The Chinese they're yet to discover chitlins at this time. You know, we didn't have much, but you know, we make a lot out of a little. So what we did was we set up an exchange program that we could get all this hair from the Chinese people to make black women wear it. And what we would do for them, we had some people settled there in China. And the deal is, as long as we can keep getting this hair from them so we can make black women wear it, so they can look like white women, as long as we do that, okay, as long as they give us the hair, we'll always have a team in China making fresh chitlins. That's what the deal is. Now, see, we even threw some of our own under the bus because now they are forced to cook chitlins for Chinese, and they don't get to debate this. We just make them do it. Okay, yeah, we throw some of our own under the bus. We make Chinese people happy by forcing our own brethren to keep making chitlins for them. Okay, and they're not citizens, so they don't have rights over there. So you know what we do with them? Just like we was in slavery working 16 hours a day, we make them make chitlins 16 hours a day. That's what we do. Okay? That's what we do, y'all. You know, sometimes you got to sell out to make it, man. Sometimes you got to sell out to make it. Shout out to Bad Black Gamer. He say Skeletor was black and and Evil M was his bottom B. Well, you know what? See, because of the pimp culture that was going on back then, they was kind of mixing stuff together. So, you know, all that stuff was based on things that was going on with black men. But, you know, they had to make Prince Adam the hero. You know, he get to turn into He-Man because he's far more masculine than you know, he was far more masculine than black men were. So Prince Adam, who been walking around in pink since the 1800s in them little shorts. He was magically transformed to He-Man so he could be a little bit more masculine than the black men that Skeletor represented. Now think about it. Skeletor was a skeleton. You know, he had all these animal type creatures helping him and whatnot. Beast Man. Y'all think Beast Man wasn't black? I mean, be real with yourself. As a child, you didn't get it. I understand it. As a child, you didn't get it. Okay, y'all didn't know Beast Man was they was mocking us. Y'all didn't know it. Okay, you know. Now shout out to Chef Mike. He said y'all gonna wear these lashes or face the wrath of the oppressor. And see, he got this chuckling emojis. But Chef Mike, you got to remember, man, we got a whole team of Negroes still in China making chitlins 16 hours a day. If we don't keep that team going, we don't get this hair. The day that team stop, the day we don't get no hair. So y'all don't understand just how vital the connection is. The day we stop, we don't get no hair. And if we don't get no hair, how can we make black women put white women's hair on their head? Because, you know, all of us want white women. And since we're not good enough to get the white women that we love so much, we got to make the black woman look like a white woman And it's kind of like the Superman thing when Superman put his glasses on, but don't nobody recognize him. See, he Clark Kent with the glasses on. See, that's how black women is for us. We put the hair on them, they white women. Okay, it's only when their hair come off that we get confused. When we take off them wigs, we confused. I know it didn't happen to a lot of y'all. You've been in the bedroom, you're having an intimate session with your lady. Next thing you know, that hair fall off because y'all was just at a bad angle, and you start panicking about where your baby done went. And all of a sudden you got this black woman in your bed. You ain't know what to do, and you start looking. Then all of a sudden, your white woman was there again, and that black woman had disappeared. And that beautiful white woman, she calmed you down because you was about to go crazy. You thought you was losing touch with reality. But that beautiful white woman that you really was with, she calmed you down. She said, that black girl gone, baby. Don't worry about it. It was just in your head. That black girl is gone. Okay? That black girl gone. Don't you worry about that no more. Okay? She gone. She gone. I'm here. I'm going to protect you, baby. I'm going to protect you. So, yeah. Black men in the 1800s was terrible, y'all. The early 1900s wasn't that better, but the black men in the 1800s, they was terrible, man. Terrible. Okay? And it's been a mess since 1879. I'm telling you, that grand departure from slavery bill been doing a job on black folks for a long time now. Okay? Now, I understand there's some black people out there, and they say, well, black people, they'll say black people because they try to make you think all black men and women on the same team. So they'll say black people. Yeah, y'all having problems because y'all won't act right. That's where y'all having problems. If you would just act right and get yourself together, you'd be treated differently. And we as black men, we've been providing black women with white women's hair for centuries now. Well, I guess not centuries, but decades now. We've been supplying them with white women's hair for decades now so they can be better women. Okay? That's what we've been doing. Since the early 1800s, we've been helping. And shout out to the very few that started back in the day before we could even get a ship together to send black men over to China so we can start getting that hair. Because remember, like I said, y'all, that didn't happen to about, I don't remember the exact dates and stuff like that, y'all. I don't remember the exact dates, but I think that happened around, 1896 or something like that, man. It didn't even happen to that time. So before that time, we just had struggling black men taking small boats over to China. That's what we get the hair we can. We was bringing it back, and that's what started that whole colorism issue, y'all. Unfortunately, we could only give hair to the daughters of white men first. We didn't have enough hair to go around, so we were giving it to the daughters of white men first, which is why black women have an issue between dark-skinned black women and light-skinned black women. Y'all know that it's a beef that still goes on to this day, and I know a lot of y'all don't know where that beef come from. Well, see, when we was doing it, small boat by small boat, yep. And there's only so much you can do because, you was in a small boat, you needed food, and you had to cross, all the way over to China, and bring all that hair back. So we only had so much, And the white woman's daughter could pay a little bit more money than the black woman's daughter. So what do we do as businessmen who are trying to participate in capitalism as best we can? We start selling to the white man's daughter first. That's what we did as black men. We decided we're going to sell to the white man's daughter first because we still capitalists at the end of the day. So yes, y'all, if y'all are buying into this stuff, as you should, you can start to have a real conversation about how black men were oppressing women. Okay? We need to get they need to put some documentaries out about this stuff. That's what they need to do. See, this the quote unquote history they won't tell you. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This the history they won't tell you. Okay. Yes, it was black men the whole time oppressing women. Yeah, we were the ones being carted off. The war on drugs, nothing but a disguise for the war on black men. But while we were going to prison for selling drugs, we were oppressing women. Yep. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Yep. Even though you was getting 30 years, the way we punished you for getting caught as black men, you only got to control 30 hoes. Okay? If you got caught and the system got you and they gave you 30 years, we only let you control 30 hoes. Because, every black man, we get to control 1,000 hoes. Okay? They're never women because they're under our control. So they're hoes automatically. Okay? And you get to control 30 hoes. Now, when you become 18 years old, the normal thing, and see, women really need to know this. Women really need to know this. Okay? When you become 18, you get 200 black women. Okay? You get 200 black women. Those are your bottom Bs right there. Those are your bottom Bs. Those are the 200 women you're going to trust more than anybody. Okay? And now you can collect some other black women along the way if they happen to be available. Okay. See, we as men, we don't cross another pimp's territory. We don't do that. Okay. Now, if she chose me, it is what it is. Okay. If she chose me. And then you start adding to your 200. So by the time you're 25, you should have your 1,000 because you're going to collect some white women. You're going to collect some Asian women. You're going to collect, all different types of women from around the world. You do you. You do, as long as you don't take it from another black man. And let's keep it real. There's some white men who tried to pimp like we pimp, but they can't pimp like we pimp. So every time we come around, they chicks choose us. Just is what it is. They be mad about it, but they let it go because they believe the government needs to stand behind black men as they oppress women across the country. That's what the U.S. government does. It stands behind black men as they spread their oppression throughout all four corners of this country. That's what the United States government does. We got a whole military that backs up the idea that black men can oppress any woman they choose as long as they are in the continental United States or its territories amongst the world. That's what the United States government does. See? They got a whole Navy that's about protecting black men as they go around and oppress women, and y'all think black folks couldn't swim. See how fool we got you? Y'all think black folks can't swim. We got a whole Navy that does nothing but go from place to place to place to make sure that they follow black men's rules. That's what the Navy does. Okay? It's just a little, see, the Navy can come in and it don't look quite the same when you send a bunch of planes in. So y'all, we got to get serious about this though. The oppression, yeah, because I let this go on a little too long. I was having too much fun with it, and I can admit that I was having too much fun with this. But if you believe that black men have been oppressing women, now you know the origin story. Okay, now you know the origin story. Okay. Yeah, if you really believe that black men in the United States of America have been oppressing women, now you got an origin story, okay? Because we couldn't do that without the help of the United States government. Y'all thought white men ran the government. No, they ain't how it go. They ain't how it go. I know y'all thought that. I know y'all. See, y'all didn't know Kennedy was black. Y'all didn't know it. See, the government get a hold to stuff before everybody else get a hold to it. So, we got makeup artists and whatnot. See, Kennedy was black, and that's why they shot him. Okay? Other people have all these little conspiracy theories and things like that. But Kennedy got shot because it came out he was a nigga. And they had to cover that up. And they was trying to put a plan together to make sure people don't find out that Kennedy was a black man because it got leaked. Because I know y'all got to be thinking, well, if Kennedy was black, some other people had to be black too. Well, see, it got leaked that Kennedy was black, so they had to take him out. Okay? See, this is the thing. Some hard-working reporters, they was working hard to get a story. They was doing a fantastic job. They came across this information that Kennedy was black. So the only way we could stop them from having this whole expose that they still put out, they put it out, okay? But how do we stop the exposure of Kennedy being a black man? We had to make news that was far bigger than Kennedy being a black man, because they still put it out. It just never got traction. So of course, black men being as elite as they are, we had to put the plan together to take Kennedy out in such a way that no one would pay attention to the fact that it was actual factual information leaking out that Kennedy was a black man. And that's why he was shot with magical bullets. Because who gonna shoot a magical bullet? A magical Negro. Think about it, y'all. Only a magical Negro can shoot a magical bullet to take away every single person paying attention to this crazy story, because it was a true story that Kennedy was black, and we had to stop this from spreading. Okay. Shout out to Chef Mike. He said today Rogers reporting live from the Gotham Asylum. See, Chef, everything that we said in the round table, we supposed to keep a secret. You ain't supposed to come out and tell nobody that, man. We supposed to keep all this stuff a secret. Just because you found out that I found Gotham and I was going to be hanging at the side. You wasn't supposed to make that public information, Chef. You wasn't supposed to make that public information. But y'all, my bad, y'all. I'm getting too far into this myself. But if you're going to believe that black men are oppressing women in America, now you know where it's coming from. Now you know where it's coming from. Because I did actually try to figure out these ideas, y'all, that people had about how black men are oppressing women. I'm going to tell y'all what I came up with, y'all. Real talk, I came up with nothing. I couldn't find one law that black men got passed that allowed them to oppress women. I couldn't find one. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me look out for my man. Kung Guru is looking out for me with a super chat. He says, Roger, we have a huge problem. Black men are forcing black women to be plump so white men won't look at them. We need Umar now. And you know what, y'all? Kunguru, you're right. You're right. But I got to tell you some bad news, bro. I got to tell you some bad news. Okay? I tried to contact Umar. Umar told me he was retiring effectively February 28th. Okay? He want to announce it yet, and I really shouldn't be saying this in public. I really shouldn't be saying this in public. But wait till February 28th, 2026, and Dr. Umar is going to come out with his announcement that he's retiring. So we're going to have to find somebody else to help us lead with that mission, okay? Unfortunately, he's retiring. February 28th. You heard it right here first, y'all. You heard it right here first. At the Roger Report Live. February 28th, watch your announcement. Come on. Matter of fact, I believe he's going to do it from the White House. As a matter of fact, I believe he's going to do it from the White House, okay? Because we have a lot of magical Negroes in the White House. Y'all see white people. Those are just black folks dressed up like white people, okay? That's what that is. That's black folks dressed up like white people. And as long as nobody finds out, it's going to keep running smooth. Unfortunately, though, when you do things this high level, sometimes things can happen, and You know, we didn't meet, and you know what? My apologies to the Kennedy family. I'm not saying any of this stuff to offend the Kennedy family, but we had to take him out, y'all. We had to take him out because he was a black man, and we needed a magical bullet to get the job done. So we couldn't. And there was pressure for us to use Navy SEALs, y'all. There was some pressure, but it was that whole thing about using U.S. military for certain things on soil, and then we didn't want no story to come back and make the U.S. military look bad. So we just hired an outside magical Negro. We had to get somebody who wasn't in the ranks of the U.S. government in any kind of shape, way, or form. So that's how we had to handle that. And we knew the story had to be big enough so no one pays attention as the information was coming out that Kennedy was black. Okay? So it is what it is, y'all. Okay? Am I bad for Dr. Umar for spoiling the fact that you're going to retire February 28, 2026? Y'all, just wait for it, y'all. Wait for it. I know some of y'all don't believe me. Wait for it. But y'all, real talk though, everything that I said from beyond, previous to this point, has been an actual joke. For the people who are dumb enough to believe what I said, it serves you right for being that dumb. But there is a point to be made here, y'all. There's a point to be made here. Because we were supposed to have a real conversation about the oppression of women. Black men have passed no laws that oppress women. Black men have yet to keep women out of banks. Okay. Black men has never been able to revoke a black woman's license to operate a business of any kind. Okay. Black men we don't even go to people's homes who doing hair out their home and tell women they can't come to this house no more to get their hair done. We don't even do that. So there's a lot of stuff being said about black men and the oppression of women. All right. Okay. A lot of stuff being spread. Now, the thing is, somebody got to come up with a way on how this could be done. Somebody got to come up with a way on how black men can actually oppress women. Okay? Touche, Chef Mike, touche. He say, oh, but Roger, you can tell stuff that from the round table, but I can't. Hashtag retirement secrets. All I can say is touche on that one, brother. Touche. That was a good one. That was a good one. And he said in my gold P voice. That was a good one, brother. That was a good one. Okay. Real talk. That was a good one. Okay, y'all. So I know that some people a little slower than other people. We got a cartoon on the screen, y'all. This is not a real character. This is a cartoon. It's a made-up character, y'all. Just like the black men who oppress women. These made-up people, y'all, they ain't got no law to oppress black women in any kind of capacity. Okay? And I'm gonna say, as men, y'all really gonna have, if you're willing to talk to a woman who's talking about crazy stuff, such as black women are oppressed, ask them how. Okay? How are you oppressed and who's doing it? Because I bet you they can't tell you anything black men have done that is backed up by the U.S. government in any way, and they actually let black men oppress women. And I'm going to say, heck, not just a black woman. That's too easy. That's too easy. Any woman. Where does the U.S. government allow black men to oppress any woman? Any of them. You know? And I'm not saying that to mock black women. What I'm saying is, We don't have to stop at black women. We could just say any woman. We ain't got to stop with just one group. Who are we oppressing? Where they at? Okay. Where they at? Where they at? Now, I understand that a lot of black women say stuff like this because they hate black men. And the average black woman is a white supremacist. But the first rule of white supremacy is you don't go after a white man. That's the first rule of white supremacy. You don't go after a white man. Even if you don't like something that white men do, you go after black men. That's what you do. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. Shout out to Rosie's room. There's a link. If you want to come up and make a case for something, there's a link. Because I see you doing what a lot of silly women do, which is putting words together that don't mean anything. Because you said domestic oppression. There's no such thing as domestic oppression. Okay, there's no such thing. When you live in America, you are free to go. You ever heard of being free to go? Sometimes people use this phrase when they're talking about police involvement. You know, and one of the things you may perceive that a police officer is detaining you. And you know what you say? Am I free to go? That's what you say. Because you want it on record. Is this police officer detaining you? Or are you just there voluntary? Okay? So, Rose, there's a link. If you want to come make some kind of case, because, see, over here at the Roger Report Live, we're not like other places, man. You come over here and you can disagree with anything you want and make your case so we can examine what you say. You know, and we'll see if you got something that we really need to think about. We'll do that over here. So if you believe there's a case to be made, I'm inviting you to come up and make your case. Because all I can tell you is domestic oppression don't exist. I don't know what country it exists in, but it ain't over here in America. See, in America, you free to go. You know, shout out to all the women who claim they were oppressed while having keys the whole time, y'all. Shout out to every woman who's claimed that some black man oppressed them while literally having a key to the house, the mansion, the apartment in a pocket or in a purse, you know, at the same time. Shout out to every single woman who claims that some man was quote unquote oppressing them while she had a key the whole time. Okay. Now I'm gonna say this, and Rose, you're gonna have to come on. You're gonna have to come up on stage and make your cases, or we just ain't gonna let you talk in the chat because I ain't gonna go through no foolishness with you. Cause see, you don't even know what position you want to take. You said domestic oppression, and then just like a white supremacist, you said black men have no power. See, the thing is, you got to pick a side. You can't say you can be oppressed by somebody who don't have no power. You gonna have to pick a side. Now, which side you gonna pick? But you can't be on both sides of the fence. You can't say black men have no power and then claim you were domestically oppressed. Okay, not saying you as a particular person, but saying any woman, black women, or anybody else. See, you're gonna have to pick a lane. And I understand this could be complicated language for you because I'm telling you, you're gonna have to make sense. Okay, you're gonna have to make sense over here at the Roger Report Live. All right, we're not gonna let you just say stuff that don't make sense and you can't explain it. See, you're gonna have to make some sense of what you're saying. Okay. Shout out to Trail Billy. He say pick a struggle. Exactly. You have to pick a struggle. Okay, just is what it is. You're gonna have to pick one. Now, whichever one you want to pick, I'm gonna invite you again to come on to the panel and make your case, and we'll see if you actually got a case to make. But you're gonna have to pick something that actually makes sense. Yes, we're gonna hold you accountable to making actual sense. Yep. That's what we gonna do over here. Shout out to No Placeholder. He says not cooking and cleaning is domestic oppression. I guess so. They don't cook and they don't clean, but somehow they oppress domestically. Now, see, at the beginning of the show, y'all, I told y'all some stuff. You know, I made a beautiful story about how all this stuff had been going on, where black men were oppressing folks. Since 1865, we got straight out of slavery and right into oppression. You know, because I couldn't explain to you how we were doing it during slavery. Okay, I was trying to figure out a nice little story to tell to figure out how we was doing it during slavery, but it wasn't really hitting me to come up with a nice story on how we was oppressing women during slavery. So I said, no, if we just gonna tell fantastical tales, okay, it's better for me to set the scene in 1865. Okay, it's better for me to set the scene in 1865. See, then I can say something that just maybe somebody dumb enough to believe. Okay? Yeah, even though it's just a little story, we just having some fun over here at the Roger Report Live. But maybe somebody would be dumb enough to believe it, because dummies believe all kind of stuff. You know, it's dummies, not the small children, but I'm talking about people. It's dummies that believe in Santa Claus, y'all. Grown folk. Okay? They believe in it. Okay? So, this is my thing, y'all. Respectfully, I want to have a real conversation. Like Black Guru suggests, he don't even know I saw him say it, y'all. He don't even know I saw him say it. But shout out to you if you're listening. He don't know that I saw him say it. But I, in order to have a real conversation about women being oppressed, they're going to have to explain what the oppression was so we can understand where the oppression came from. Because I looked and I came up blank. Shout out to LS Active. He said, I think Rosie was just asking, what's that? You know what, LS Active? I hope you are correct. Rosie, I hope you were just asking what something was. I you know, maybe that's what you were doing. And I'm going to suggest that sometimes if you ask a question, you probably want to put a question mark at the end of it so people will take it that way. Because, hey, if I don't know you, it's hard for me to interpret what you mean. And I've told this to women plenty of time. I don't know what you mean. I just know what you said. Y'all would have no idea how many times I done had to say that to women. Look, I don't know what you mean. I just know what you said. Okay? So if she was asking, cool. Okay? But when you don't put a question mark behind it, don't ask a stranger. That's all I'm going to say. Don't ask a stranger who don't know you, and don't put the proper punctuation so I can get the idea of what's going on. But I'm going to say, if you were asking a question, because now the thing is, I don't even know for sure what statement she made that was supposed to be the question. But if it was a question about domestic oppression, I'm going to say, shout out to all the women who claimed that they were being oppressed domestically with a key in their pocket or a key in their purse. Shout out to all those women. And what does that mean, y'all? What does that mean? How do you oppress somebody who unlocks a door to get in and locks a door to keep people out? How do you oppress a person with that ability? Okay. So I hope you ain't take it the wrong way. Now, I don't know if this is you were actually asking a question or if the brother's just kind of taking up for you because you're a woman. You know, I'm not going to put that on the brother. So I'm going to say maybe you were actually asking the question. Sometimes you need to use that punctuation, though. Sometimes that punctuation is just going to be called upon for it to go over the correct way. And look, and keep in mind, it ain't like I said she crazy or something. I just said what I said. And I'm not going to change what I said about what was said, even if it was a question, because I didn't put her down. Okay? What I'm asking is, How do you oppress somebody with no power? I'm not taking that back, because there's plenty of black women who going to say, y'all don't have no power, and they're going to say y'all oppressors. And my thing is, which one was it? Did we have enough power to oppress you, or were we powerless? Because I can't do both of those at the same time. So I can't take it back, y'all. Okay, I can't take it back. You know, and shout out to D Name and Handle. He said, you just made a mistake. No, I didn't make no mistake, because I answered the way I answered, and I'm saying I ain't taking none of it back because I meant it. I ain't made no mistake. Now, if she made a mistake by not using a question mark when she should have, then that's on her at the end of the day. Look, too many men always want to remove accountability from women, and then you say they're not accountable. I don't do that. I blame people for stuff they do. That's who should be blamed. The person who did it. I said what I said, and I meant it. Okay? I said what I said, and I meant it. So no, I can't claim I made a mistake. I can't say, let me take that back, because I meant what I said. You got to pick a struggle. If black men oppress women, somebody needs to explain to me how we did it. Okay, how we did it. Because there are people who say that black men are powerless, so it's even a greater thing to get how a powerless people oppress somebody. See, if I accept that we're powerless, you can't even come to me about oppression. And if you come to me about oppression, you got to be able to tell me what the act was that oppressed somebody. Okay? Because even though I was cracking jokes, see, if you can tell me that black men actually stopped women from getting their driver's license, then you can show me how we oppress somebody. You can show me what that is. I would understand. There's a certain amount of power you have to stop a particular group of people from getting a driver's license. And I don't know when black men did that. Okay. I also don't remember when black men stopped women from buying computers. See, yeah, I'm joking around. So my thing is, even though I'm saying this stuff is jokes, can anybody give me the actual example of where black men oppress any woman? What women, any group I'm talking about, any group of women, any group, not just black women, any group of women. And some people may say, well, hey, Roger, that's not being fair. No, I'm saying you can make your accusation not just about black women, make your accusation about any woman. Show me where black men oppress any group of women. And shout out to my people who live around the world. And I ain't no expert in other folks' country, but I know one thing good and well over here in these United States of America. Ain't nobody, no one has been able to answer me about where black men have oppressed women. I've asked many people about this. Even these quote unquote experts that make claims, folks that speak from stages and all that, folks with PhDs, and they done read all this stuff in here. And I just asked a simple question: give me the example where black men oppress women. So far, no one's been able to tell me. Now, I don't know if that makes me a genius or make them stupid or something in between, but it's got to be something to it if no one can actually tell me what it was. Okay? And I'm going to say the most consistent thing I get, is women will say something about some individual man who supposedly is oppressing some individual woman, and saying something like, well, he beats her up and she got keys to the apartment. He beats her up. She got keys to the mansion. He beats her up. She got keys to the house. Wait a minute. She came in from work. She went and worked with other people. She left a job with other people. She unlocked the door to get into a home, and then she locked the door to indicate to other people not to come into that home. And she's being oppressed? Yeah, I'm sorry. It don't make sense to me, y'all. Okay, that's like telling me 2 plus 2 equals 6,048. It just don't make sense to me. Okay, but I'm gonna slow it down right here because my main man, Chef Mike's Roundtable, has come up to the panel, and I'm gonna give him the mic. Chef Mike's Roundtable, you got it, my brother. How you doing?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to find yourself on this Wednesday. That's all I can say right there. This Wednesday.
Whimsical. I throw that out there.
Roger. You know what? I'm. You know. Okay. First of all, domestic oppression. I'm gonna need you to scroll back up in the chat a little bit, Roger. And this is what everybody in the chat was trying to get you to do. Scroll back up in the chat. Actually, look at LS Active's comment. It was LS Active that actually made mention of domestic oppression. And then Rosie was like, domestic oppression. And Roger, we wanted you to actually scroll back up so that you can see she did use a question mark, my
Okay,
friend.
I,
I
I
ain't
see the one
trying to put
that
you
you
on
wanted me
blast,
to
but
address.
you know, I got to keep things in order. Ah, see, we were trying to get your attention, but you were so busy trying to make up this whimsical, oppressive story, and then, and see, this is what I came up for, because I was with you. I'm sitting here laughing, cracking up, laughing. But the minute that you accused the brothers of taking up for somebody, I was like, see, that's why you should have scrolled up. You should have scrolled up, brother. See, I I can't take your soup today. I won't take your soup today. But just know, when we get to the round table, I got some words for you, sir.
No, I was saying that. Well, the way I was trying to come across with that, yeah, a brother could try to take up for it, but I basically kind of doubt that that's happening right here. I kind of doubt that that was the real
Roger,
thing.
Roger. We heard you. We were listening. We were listening.
Okay, brother.
It's okay.
Well, I'm gonna
It
read. I'm gonna
happened.
read the statement that was made that you wanted me to read. Okay, because I obviously read the wrong one. And Ellis actually did say it was me who said domestic oppression, Roger, and I was making light of what women claim is oppression. Okay, and I'm just gonna reiterate that I actually meant what I said. Any woman who claims she's
We
being
know that.
oppressed with a key in their pocket or their purse, I don't buy into your story. That's like telling me 2 plus 2 equals 6,048. So I don't buy
We
that.
know. We know that, Roger. We got that. We got that. However, you got off on exit 6A, and the exit was 6B. That's all.
Okay, and
That's
it's all
all.
good. Well, my apologies, folks. My apologies. Okay, my apologies. Okay, that's it, Chef. That's it. Chef, if you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Ain't no thing, bro. Y'all, hey, listen. I'm oppressing you now because I'm showing my oppressive abilities.
This oppression is too much, man. This oppression is too much. Please,
That's how you
please,
supposed to do it.
please take your foot off my neck, sir. I apologize, y'all. I
No, because
apologize.
at this point, Gold P is coming up. Now, unless Gold P say something that's going, contradict what I just said, Gold P, go ahead and put your foot on his neck. This is the one time I'm giving you license for at least you get your 2 minute opening and you get 2 minutes to kick Rogers. And ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you. Gold P, it's on you, bro.
My how the tables turn. My how the tables turn.
Can you guys hear me?
Well, Gold P, if you don't mind, shout out to No Placeholder, real quick. He says, formal apologies to Rosie. Cut off Gold P. Oh, I didn't even know he was gonna say that, but He said cut off Gold P. And I'm gonna say to Rosie, hey, I apologize. Okay. I apologize. I can do that. No, I still meant what I said, but I do apologize to her. Okay. Didn't mean for you to get caught up in the LS and stuff. Okay. But shout out to you, brother. But I apologize to Rosie. Okay. Apologize to Rosie. All right, go ahead, Gold P.
Good early to everybody. Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, I start out with my usual. Shout out to the Roger Report. Shout out to everybody who supports the Roger Report. Hit that like button. You guys know my MO. I do that, right? I'm supportive. Been supportive. That's my MO. With that being said, Roger, you've been disrespectful. Now, I'm gonna just say that off top. I don't recall, and it seems like you conveniently did it. I don't recall you doing Highlander of the Day. I don't recall you, saying, hey, I don't recall none of that. And here I'm saying it because I went back and listened to make sure I didn't want to come off in the wrong way, like I missed it. No, I went back and listened for a significant amount of time and didn't hear a daggone thing. I didn't hear, Gold P paid his taxes. Because I off top, I don't want to make this about me, but I have to address you because you said you hold people accountable. That's what you said. You said we gotta hold people accountable, but yet you think you can't be held accountable. Now, I shot out a super chat that said, "Hey, hit that like button." I didn't put me in it. I said, "Hit that like button, support the channel." That's what I did off top. Nothing about me. It was all about the Roger. All off top. Then I shot you. I paid those taxes. I paid that Trail Bentley tax and Shark Sims tax. But here we are. You conveniently, just bypass. You shout out everybody's super chat, you shout out everybody's Cash App. I think if we're going to use the word oppression, I have to question: are you oppressing me? You think I'm a broad or something, or are you suppressing me? One of those two or both may apply because. Something is wrong with you. Conveniently did this today. I'm trying to understand what is it, especially when I'm consistent with financially. Not saying you have to acknowledge it, but you're the one who always say, "I'm thankful for your contributions." You make it. Did you change policy or something? What happened? This conversation is between me and Roger right now, because Roger be out of order. Now, what the problem is, Roger?
Hey, Gold P, my apologize, brother. I will make
you
a correction as soon as you're done.
Apologizing, man.
I'll correct it as soon as you're done. I'll make a correction.
You always apologizing when you should get it right. You got all this fire for all the bros. You got all this fire. And yet you can't be held accountable for some odd reason. I'm glad Chef, I came up here purposely because I see Chef up here and I was like, Chef, now I am not in the wrong for this. I am not in the, I am, because I went back and listened for 30 to 40 minutes of the opener and made sure I wasn't wrong.
Go P. I got you. I will make a correction.
Don't cut me off, Roger.
Okay.
Chef, why is he cutting me off? Why is he trying to apologize now?
No. I'm trying.
I'm not talking to you, Roger. I'm talking to Chef. I'm talking to Chef because apparently listening is not imperative to you, right? Chef. Why am I experiencing this? Is that bad, Chef?
Go P. You know what? You put that so eloquently, so directly, so succinctly. And you had Roger on the roast the whole time, but all he could do was laugh. All he could do was sniggle. All of this sniggling, keep your kid. That's all he could do. You know how Negroes do when you got them up against the wall and they really can't say nothing because they know they're wrong. All they can do is smile because Roger got a big old Chester cat grin on his face right now. I guarantee you, and he ain't even got a camera on.
Hey, as a man,
he did. You are not wrong, Gopi. He did not acknowledge the Highlander because I saw the comment because I was right up under it. I was like, okay, Gopi got in there, and he won up me because I was the first Highlander of 2026 on the first stream. But you was the first Highlander that jumped up there with a super chat as the Highlander. You weren't just a Highlander, you were the upper Highlander. And Roger skipped all over that. And we can't get past that. We can't get past that.
Okay.
And we can't get past, I also gave him a cash out. I'm consistent, Chef. I'm consistent.
One thing I can say about you, Gopi, is that you are consistent. I'm either consistently going to be on your side or I'm going to consistently be separating you and Roger. But you, sir, are consistent. Thank you for that.
So, What is your position today, Chef? What is your position today?
Well, I'm about to make
my position. Wait, Roger, hold on, Roger.
We're talking to Chef. This is Chef and I having a discussion about an issue.
Yeah, can I correct the problem? So
no, you cannot. You've been apologizing. No, you know how a person constantly apologizes.
I said I'm nothing. Correct the problem so we can keep the show going. I said I'm gonna make the correction. I'm gonna do the acknowledgement, brother.
Wait, Gopi. Hold on, Gopi. Hold on, because we do have to keep the show going. And I wanted to give you a specific amount of time to beat Roger up. And now you had the time.
And he definitely took advantage.
Gopi, you could not have done that any more brilliant, my brother. You could not have done that any more brilliantly. So, Roger, you got the flow, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna make a correction and I'm gonna acknowledge the Highlander of today's stream, y'all. I do apologize to Gold P, who so eloquently made it clear to me that I did not do the Highlander of today's stream. And my deepest apologies to the Highlander of today's stream, my main man, my ace boon coon, Gold P. All right, shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. And let me acknowledge your super chat. I'm scrolling back to it now. So, boom, boom, boom. Shout out to Gold P for this super chat as well. And Gold P said, hit that like button, support the channel, subscribe, share, Cash App, $ the Roger Report. And I'm going to say shout out to you for doing that, brother. I appreciate that big time, y'all. And yes, y'all, even at the Roger Report Live, everybody gets held accountable, even the host, y'all. So we play fair over here. We play fair over here, and that's why anyone's invited to participate, because we're going to play fair over here. Not even I can make a mistake, and it just goes unnoticed. Not even I. Ain't nobody going to let me off the hook.
We're not going to relegate that to being a mistake, Roger. You do it.
I got other stuff to acknowledge.
Roger.
Go P.
You are trying to be slick, man.
No. Go P. I'm gonna acknowledge the Cash Apps because I got yours and somebody else, and then I got to get this other brother in, and we got to let the show roll too. There, we got to let the show roll,
man.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So and my apologies for keeping you waiting, brother. My apologies for keeping you waiting. But let's acknowledge these cash apps as well. Because here at the Roger Report Live, yes, I do say all money on the wood is good, and we've proven it. Gold P dropped $5.95. So he did drop the tax for Trail Billy and Shark Sims. Okay, he did drop the tax, and I appreciate you for the tax as well, my brother. And shout out to my main man, Great Black Reset. He chimed in, y'all, dropped 5 and said, don't be no sucker tax. Okay. So shout out to you. I see what you did right there, brother. That's all I'm gonna say. I see what you did right there. But
I
shout
can
out to Gold P,
appreciate
man.
that.
Shout out to you, Gold P.
That
And my
tax.
apologies. My sincere apologies, my brother. My
Now
sincere
we got
apologies.
a don't be a sucker tax. I could rock with that. Shout out to the Great Reset, man, because Roger up here being a sucker all day.
Okay. Well, let me let this other brother get in so we can keep this show rocking,
Go
brother.
ahead, man.
And I did admit myself, I got a little too into my own story because it was just so funny to me as well. So the comedy was going, and I had to get myself to stop, y'all. I had to get myself to stop. Just trying to come up with the ways that black men had been oppressing women. Yes, was that funny to me because I couldn't find any sign of oppression. And I'm going to continue to invite anybody to come tell me about how black men oppress women, period. Any woman. Black, white, otherwise, let me know because I couldn't find nothing. But shout out to I feel like you have the flow, my brother. You have the flow.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, happy Wednesday to everybody. Happy Wednesday in the chat. Happy Wednesday to Go P. He got you today. He was waiting. I was like, ooh, I know he did not do that. Boy, you just activated his trap dog. He said, nah, got your ass. Well, you know, as it pertains that about them being oppressed, you know, like my name say, I feel like I'm being oppressed. All right, it's all in their head. It's all in their feelings. You know what I mean? They feel, so therefore, since they've been quote unquote oppressed, now we owe them. We owe them money, provision, protection, because they feel that they've been oppressed in the past and are still currently experiencing some form of oppression. I don't know what oppression they feel like they're experiencing in 2026, but I don't know. Maybe they feel oppressed since they can't go to the chop shop like they used to. And they love having their baby deletion rituals. Now it may not be as easy as it used to be because Mr. Don Cheetos then stuck his foot up somebody's rear end. So now they can't do it anymore. Maybe now they feel like they're being oppressed based on not being allowed to do that because they love to say my body, my choice. And I always say then I feel like I should not have to pay for your baby donation ritual. You know what I mean? If everybody can feel, then I guess I can feel like that also. You know what I mean? Since it's all about feelings, right? Life is good when they run out of things to complain about. Now it becomes a psychological warfare because now it's all up in their heads. Because you gotta understand that as as much as they are sociopath, psychopath, they're also a bunch of retards. So now we really have to. They want us to essentially terraform a world that suits a bunch of retards, and we can't do that. We can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Being oppressed all the time. Oppressed about what? You're free. You can do whatever you want. Right?
All right. Well, if you're done, I'm gonna get this in. Shout out to Elder Blood. Elder Blood asked me to read this, but Elder Blood is also a consistent contributor over here at the Rise for Live, so got to look out for him. He says Noah's grandfather, who was Methuselah, spoke of white supremacy plaguing the black men back then, and it was thought at Noah's birth that he was their kin and they were going to kill him. That now I'm gonna say I don't know about that particular information right there. I mean I know Methuselah was Noah's grandfather. That's very much true, but I can't say I know what Methuselah was preaching about. And I'm pretty sure the Bible did mention this mentioned many a white person. So I have a theory on where white people came from, but I don't know it well enough by memory to even go into that. So I'm gonna say Elder Blood could very much be right. I haven't studied it enough to say whether he's right or wrong, but I definitely can accept it because Elder Blood seems to know what he's talking about on every other occasion. So I can accept something like this. I can accept something like that. Now, people who know what they're doing know what they're doing. So ain't no reason for me to question it right now. And shout out to LS Active. He said, shout out to Raj for taking the heat for the fire I started. Yeah, bruh. You sent me down the creek without a paddle. Just like those first black men in the 1800s, they had to row to China to take a little bit of hair to where we could get this free market of getting hair from China. So we can make black women wear it, real talk. So shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. You made me feel like I'm one of the ancestors. But Bad Black Gamer is here. So Bad Black Gamer, I'm going to give it to you and let you do what you need to do, my brother.
Good morning. Good morning. Salutes to everybody. And Roger, how you doing?
Hey, doing all right, brother.
Roger, it's only fitting that you would do a show like this today, considering that on yesterday's show you talk about how black women are not really good people. You know what I'm saying? So it's only fitting that you would do a show today talking about how black men the reason why they're not good people is because we have been oppressing them this whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying, to me. Because, everybody grew up in a family where Big Mama didn't tell everybody what to do. You know what I'm saying? And then run the family and do all this other stuff, So, it's only fitting that, even though, black men, we do stuff back during Jim Crow and slavery that black men don't want to get lynched and tied to railroad tracks, you know what I'm saying, while, black women are sleeping with their white husbands, and stuff like that. So, we've been oppressing them. We've been writing all the laws. We've been writing the Constitution to leave them out. You know what I'm saying? We've been, keeping them from going to college and getting degrees and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Which is why they're the most, I guess they say they're the most college attended out of any percentage-wise out of any other group. Like, yeah, it's all our fault. It's all Jermaine's fault. So I just wanted to point that out. I think it's very fitting that you would do a show like this today, to be fair, because it's really all our fault at the end of the day. And I'm going to land my plane right there and let somebody else come in.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say, y'all, today's show has got to be one of the best shows about black men oppressing black women. Because I get it, y'all. I've gone to hear the quote-unquote experts say a bunch of different stuff. Unfortunately, they told me maybe, like I said, I don't know if it was first grade, second grade, third grade. They told me to put my thinking cap on, and I forgot to take it off. So when I hear people say all this fantastical stuff, yeah, I'm saying fantastical because I think it's got to be like mystical. It's got to be fantastic. It's got to be magical. It's like a lot of stuff kind of rolled in there. For me to buy into the nonsense that people tell me, I would literally have to take my thinking cap off to accept the nonsense. Because when it comes to the oppression of women, I just can't see where black men did it. Now, I'm not going to say women were never, quote unquote, oppressed. And I do believe that women claim oppression when there was no oppression, it was just certain things that happened, but because things were invented, things quote unquote evolved over time, women were allowed to do more and more stuff over time. It wasn't like something was invented and then you're automatically oppressed. No, it's just something was invented and you didn't have access to it because you didn't invent it. That's all. But more and more stuff has been given to women over time. Now, anything that they truly believe is oppression, my question is, how come you don't address a white man about that? Okay. And then there's this whole narrative that black men can oppress you while being powerless at the same time. And I got to say, y'all, you're going to have to pick something. You can't tell me I have the power to oppress you and then say I don't have no power. Because that just ain't going to never jail. And this is something black men need to let go of. This whole idea that black men have oppressed women. Tell me one woman that black men oppress. Tell me one. Because I understand people will argue about domestic stuff, and they'll say, what about some guy who beats on his girlfriend? And I say, where she live? Where she live with him? Well, how'd she get in? What you mean? Because they never understand what I mean when I say how she get in. I'm asking where she live. She live with him. Okay, cool. Well, how'd she get in? And yes, what I'm asking about is the key. Does she have a key to get in the door when she get home? And you know what people consistently tell me? Yeah, she had a key. Now, sometimes I got to break it down for them so they can understand that I'm talking about the key. But they consistently tell me the woman got a key. I said, well, okay, so does the lock work? Yeah, as far as I know, the lock work. Okay, if the lock worked and she got a key, which indicates she can leave and come back when she want to, where's her oppression coming from? Because ain't oppression something that that's something that's being forced upon you? Ain't that what oppression is? Now, I can buy into these silly stories about, well, some black man was beating you. Okay, so now I'm supposed to believe the black man was beating on you and you had a problem with it and you didn't call the police. In America? Come on.
Roger.
You was scared to call the police in America on a black man who's beating on you?
Roger. In what instances have black men been fighting black women and black women have been fighting them back? Like I've never seen like a situation. I mean, I'm sure it can happen. You know what I'm saying? But it's bi-directional 90% of the time. I would say. Like usually, like a dude is fighting a woman, they both fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, realistically speaking, you can hardly find a black man that would touch a black woman. There's plenty of video footage about black men getting the top beat out of them because they won't hit their woman back.
Right.
That's
getting dragged by their dreadlocks black men.
That is a very normal thing. I'm not saying it's good that it's normal. I'm just saying what the fact is. The fact is that it is very normal. It's very normal. So at the end of the day, if it's normal that black women could beat on black men and they don't do anything about it, now I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't accept that. But black men do accept it because we got to talk about the collective. Then I need to understand where's the oppression start.
Laughing.
Say that again.
I said there's tons of videos out there of black men getting beaten by black women and people around laughing about it. Like it's funny.
And that's why I have to say, where does the oppression start? Because to oppress somebody, you got to be able to do something to them. They can't stop you from doing it, and it has to be accepted. So where does the oppression start? Now, I'm going to say, I understand this conversation makes people uncomfortable. Because I know when I start throwing too many facts, I've seen how the numbers is going here, y'all, about the people watching. You start saying some uncomfortable facts, people don't want to hear it no more. I'm not tripping about it. I get it. That's the way this world is, especially right over here in America. How do you oppress somebody who don't have to answer to you? That's crazy. And now you want me to believe some black man beat on you and you was scared to call the police? Because women will say, well, I was scared to call. And I'd be like, why? Well, he said he was gonna kill me. So you mean to tell me a black man had you so scared that you wouldn't call the police on him, and you live in America? See, I can only accept so much BS. Okay, there's only so much you can give to me before questions start coming out, because I understand what the scenario is. I understand what America is like. So how you gonna tell me that you were scared to call the police when I know good and well the police looking for a reason to go upside the black man's head? And you telling me you got that reason, but you scared to tell the people who looking for the reason, who will be empowered by the state, the city, the country to go upside his head, and they just ain't gonna do it? Get out of here. They looking for a reason to beat a nigga. You got a reason for them to go beat a nigga, and you just ain't gonna give them the reason that they looking for to beat a nigga. I gotta buy into all that to accept your story. And see, women say, well, the reason we don't like to tell on folks because you know people won't believe it. Well, if you say something that don't make sense, why should somebody believe you? Telling me that some man was beating on you and you got keys to the home, but you were scared to do something about it in a country where beating a nigga is a pastime, that just don't make a lick of sense. And you literally got the reason that they can justify going to beat that nigga, but you just ain't gonna give it to him. Yeah, okay. How does that even make any level of sense?
I mean,
But I'm gonna
Roger,
chill. Go ahead, real quick. But after you, I'm gonna get Tunnel running in. Go ahead.
like the original history of the police force, they were built to keep the black men in you know, on the
Stay in
wrap.
check. Yeah, because they were quote unquote the slave patrol anyway. So
Right, that's their history. That's their origin story. That's what they were built for in this country. You know, it just later on became ideal that maybe we should use them to to keep the peace and everything, to keep everything, civil and keep, everything, I guess the world organized and everything away from chaos. But originally, their original goal and job was to keep the black, male slaves in check and make sure they didn't riot or get together and form and organize. So there you go.
yeah, so again, y'all, if you're gonna have an honest conversation about oppression, you're gonna have to honestly say where the oppression is actually coming from. What is the oppression? What's the law? What's the rule? What's the thing that was enforced that shows that black men oppressed any woman? But Tunnel Runner, you here? I'm giving you the flow. Go on, knock yourself out, my brother. Don't knock
Yeah,
out a woman.
Roger.
Knock yourself out. Not a woman though, because you're a black man, so you can't knock out a woman. You can knock out yourself, just not a woman. Okay.
Okay. But Roger, I mean, I guess some people have called me oppressive. Mostly black people have called me oppressive, but it seems like that oppression is not done when some women overseas seem to enjoy that oppression that I give out. Because I get the same from the sisters to the others, and it seems that it's more receptive with some women from overseas. They seem to handle the oppression that I give out a lot easier and work with it. Where
Well,
it's very difficult for me to oppress some of these sisters over here. They seem to want to fight back real hard.
well, because of the context of the show, I'm gonna need you to give me some examples about the oppression that you use. What is the oppression that you use?
Uh, I requested that dishes get washed and food gets cooked. These are oppressive things that I expect from a woman. And they seem to be like this is oppressive, almost like being a slave. And then I can go to some other women from overseas that find that that's they happily do these things without even me asking. They feel like it's part of their duty as a wife or a girlfriend, even.
Okay. So y'all, let's because I'm gonna dissect that a little bit because I don't want people to misinterpret what you're saying. and not catch the joke that you're clearly making? Let's think about this, y'all. You have a rising amount of black women who say that they don't cook, they don't clean, have no intentions of it. They ain't finna do it for no black man, right? You have women that accuse another woman of being oppressed because she did cook and she did clean. What does this actually mean? If I think about what it's actually saying, what I hear is black women saying being clean is oppressive. I want y'all to catch this because, see, things need to spread, and I can't be everywhere at all times and spread it all myself. A woman who says, I don't cook and I don't clean. All right, let's hold off for the cooking part for a second. And let's think about what a woman means when she say, I don't clean. She believes to keep a location that you happen to frequent, such as a home, is oppressive. What is she saying? She's saying being a clean person is an act of is well, someone making her clean something that where she lives is an act of oppression. Now I don't know who that someone would be because I know a black man can't quote unquote stand over her and make her clean anything. Not in America. Now I don't know what country he could do this in, but I know it ain't gonna happen over here. You can't stand over no woman, make her clean anything in America. So if her whole thing is that cooking and cleaning is oppressive, I hear a woman telling me being clean is oppressive. Cleaning up behind myself is oppressive. Being
Clean up behind your
something
own children.
other than nasty is oppressive. Now I'm gonna just tell y'all straight
Roger,
up. Any woman who got a problem with cooking and cleaning, yeah, I want her no way. and I'm just
Roger,
keeping it real. Because I know
Roger.
I know when somebody telling me they actively want to be nasty. But go ahead, bad game. Go ahead.
No, I just want to add to your point. Like, so these women got a lot of these women got children, right? So you mean you don't cook and you don't clean for your children? Forget a man.
Nah. I won't
Forget
say
a man.
based on video evidence I've seen, I can easily believe they don't cook and clean for their children.
I mean, where are we winning? Where are you winning right there? Like your children can't grow up in a clean home. They can't grow up. They can't eat a home cooked meal.
Well, I think because black women are white supremacists, they don't want you to live in a home that's clean. Because that goes against the narrative that white people say about black folks. And they don't want to go against white supremacy. Yeah, and they will sacrifice you being clean to go with white supremacy. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, and I've said this before, y'all, there's sometimes stupid stuff is repeated very often. And because people don't actually examine what's being said. What do you mean by I don't cook and I don't clean? You just telling me you nasty. Like, ain't being dirty and nasty, ain't it, don't enough build up on his own that to deliberately go out the way and say, I just refuse to do it? I mean, ain't that just making a problem that already exists bigger? You know? You can be a very clean person, but you clean every day. Yeah, I mean, so okay, so you gonna be here for a week and don't clean nothing? What kind of person do I think you are? If you gonna tell me you ain't gonna clean for a week, what you think I'm supposed to believe about you? You nasty. That's all I can believe. Because at least back in the day, y'all, I'm gonna say there were some women that I know personally that at least back in the day, you'll come to their place, right? And like they do, like they've depicted in TV shows, they'll like throw everything in the closet because they ain't really cleaned up. They'll throw everything in the closet, or they'll start throwing stuff under the bed because they're trying to hide the fact that they don't clean regularly. At least they would do that. Okay, they will hide the fact that they don't clean regular. Now you got people just coming on the internet shouting it out. What do you want me to think about you if you telling me you don't cook and you don't clean? What good thought am I supposed to form after you went out your way to inform me of that information that I didn't even need to have? Yeah, you sound nasty to me. Y'all, if a woman didn't have nothing, you at least expected her to be clean. I mean, that's just real talk. If you dirty in a woman, you might as well be on the blade. You know, real talk, you might as well be on the blade. So I don't get it. But when you think about this oppression stuff, like I say, I got to understand where the oppression is coming from. Someone has to explain it to me, because I look for it. I even listen to experts talk, and nobody could tell me what the oppression is. So I don't get it. I am never going. I'm not going to claim I'm the smartest man on the planet, but I don't think I'm just straight stupid. Somebody should be able to explain to me an act of oppression if the oppression exists. Somebody should be able to say it to me. Now, I've seen people fumble in all kinds of ways, y'all. I've seen people get intimidated, and somebody said, "Well, black people complain about racism. You can't even tell me what racism is." Now, see, if you ask me that question, I start giving you all kinds of examples. I don't know what the holdup is. I got examples. I got examples all day. I can tell you I personally dealt with it. So when you say you've been oppressed, and I say, well, what oppression have you gone through? Somebody should be able to tell me something. Now, shout out to Gold P. He said this is for the peoples who will probably have to suffer through Roger's age of oppression. Shout out to the oppressed. Shout out to Gold P, who's still taking shots at me. Okay, I appreciate you, Gold P. My apologies, Gold P. My apologies. I'm saying it again, brother. My apologies, brother. I did not do that on purpose. Okay, but I'm gonna move on because Black Uru has come up, and I'm gonna let him have the flow. But I apologize, Gold P. I sincerely apologize. All right, Black Uru, you have the flow, my brother.
Hey, Roger. Am I coming in clear?
We hear you okay. You're okay.
Okay. Well, let me know if there's any problems trying to use a different audio.
It's slightly choppy, but we can still understand you perfectly fine.
Yeah, well, and I might change devices. Great show. I guess something I said was the inspiration of this show. So maybe
now, I caught you on Mr. Z's channel. I caught you saying something in the chat on Mr. Z's channel, so I know you didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I remember saying it. I didn't remember where I said it, but I definitely remember saying it, and I remember the context in which I meant it, because quote oppression issue is sort of dual purpose or multi-purpose in a way. I think you handle a significant part of it, and that is just this notion that Black men have been oppressing. That argument is historically how improbable that it would be, given the uniqueness of the circumstances of our history, our society, the laws, etc., make impossible any sort of wide-scale, systemic by Black women. Certainly, in individual cases, we might have some brother oppressing some Black woman, but systemically, it would not have been safe to engage in some sort of wide-scale, unilateral oppression of Black women. It just would not have been safe for most of us to do. In many cases, Black women had closer, more direct, and more affable relationships with men did. Very often, very often, Black women were nannies, day laborers, maids, etc. Of powerful, very often, you're more powerful white people in many parts of the country, especially in the South. We're talking post-slavery. And so for Black men to brutalize, unilaterally brutalize Black men, those men would have been in imminent danger doing that in many cases. And again, not to say that some, for whatever reason, crazy or situational, didn't do that. It just wouldn't be systemically. The logistics of it would just make that almost impossible. So, but we allow a feminist system, white women, to encourage the these lies about our particular history, about our particular, within our particular group of people. And
All right, y'all. Black Who was getting a little too choppy, and I know he really couldn't be understood. So I kicked him out of the studio. Not because I'm disrespecting my elders, because I know y'all couldn't hear him clearly. It was getting worse as he went along. So hopefully, since he said he'll do something, he'll come back with a different connection, and we can roll a little bit smoother. Shout out to Gold P, who's still taking shots. He says, at Black Uru Strikes, Roger is oppressing and suppressing your mic. Okay. All right, Gold. I'm gonna holler at you, Gold P. That's all I'm saying, bro. I'm gonna holler at you, bro. But hopefully Black will be able to get his mic changed or whatever and come back before we hit that 3-hour mark. Because I definitely want to hear what he got to say, but I do want y'all to be able to also hear what he has to say. And I know it was getting worse as he was going along. Yeah, at first it sounded somewhat cool, but yeah, I think y'all was definitely gonna have a problem with. Matter of fact, that's him coming back now. So maybe it'll clear up some. Yeah, Black, we had to put you out because it was getting worse as you was going. I'll say it was getting worse as you was going, and I wanted the people to be able to hear your wisdom.
Am I okay now, or?
Yes, sir. That's the Black we hear. Yeah, that's there you go.
Okay. Well, I don't know what part you heard. I'll just say that obviously, part of the white supremacist system allowed and facilitate certain Black women being positioned in a way to tell lies about Black men, as a means of divide and conquer amongst Black people, and also to provide substance to the position that white women were asserting against white men. And that is this overall female oppression legend, which I think very often wasn't even as even true even amongst non-Black people, but that's not necessarily what we're necessarily focused on here. So I guess that'll sort of wrap up what I initially just said.
Okay, I'm gonna say shout out to No Placeholder. He said Rod's report boost Black Uru's transporter signal. Well, I'm gonna go in the back and start working on that right away, my brother. Because of course I had to be oppressing his microphone. Y'all know that us Black men, we just oppress stuff so easily. Sometimes we do it without even paying attention. Now I'm gonna say, y'all, the only way Black men could have truly oppressed any group of women in this country, the stuff I was saying for the first hour of the show, you really got to buy into that stuff. How does a group of men coming out of slavery concerned with getting their own piece of property working 16 hours a day. It wasn't no laws back then, y'all. It wasn't no work law. It wasn't no 40 hours a week back in them days. How could a man who got to work 16 hours a day, no weekends off, y'all? Y'all think people had weekends off back then? You was a slave, but you gonna take the weekend off? Now I understand that people went to church. Some people even celebrated the Sabbath, so they did take one day off. And that's just the folks who celebrated the Sabbath. But you talking about people in a doing all types of agricultural work. You really think they was just chilling? So I don't know where black men would have had the energy to put all these meetings together that they would have needed to have to stop any group of women from doing anything they wanted to do. Especially when you had white folks still interfering with all the different things that black men did, they caused no actual concern for white people if you look at it from a logical standpoint. Black men getting together to build some town away from white people logically should cause no concern to white people. But they were still worried about us, which means we had to worry about them. And somehow, while all that was going on, supposedly black men been oppressing women. You trying to keep a barn up, but you oppressing women at the same time.
But Roger, it's very oppressive to be living in America and not be a rich white woman. They're oppressive because they're living with in America, and we haven't made them rich white women is the biggest problem.
Well, I mean, I definitely understand that that's black women's one of their biggest gripes because and we do need to get into that, y'all. Because what are they talking about when they say oppression? Yeah, a lot of them simply mean you haven't made us a rich white woman. As if it's my job as a black man to make you a rich white woman. Why would you even bring that nonsense to me? Why would I want to make you a rich white woman? And last time I checked, the average black man ain't even a rich black man. So how he gonna make you a rich white woman? It makes no sense at all. We barely got black men that can make black women rich black women. But you want me to make you a rich white woman? It makes
And
no
all of
actual.
them, not just the top women. The bottom women want you to make them a rich white
Oh,
brown black woman.
I'm definitely meaning the collective. I definitely mean the
Yeah,
collective.
the collective. Yes.
So it's a very, very stupid thing. And you mad at me because I'm not the one working on making you a rich white woman. Now you have no issues. I'm gonna say this, y'all. Now, y'all listen carefully as I say this now. The collective of black women have no issue with oppression whatsoever. They have no issue with oppression. Their main issue is who has the ability to oppress them. That's what I'm gonna say. Because if you had a real problem with oppression itself, would it make a difference what color the man was who was oppressing you? Because one thing I don't see black women doing is addressing white men for oppressing them. That's something I don't see happening. Okay. Now maybe there is some black woman individual out there who's just fighting for oppression, and maybe she's saying something to a white man too. I have no clue who she is because I ain't never seen her. But black women seem to be fine with oppression. They just seem to have a problem with who's oppressing them. Because I don't see them really tripping if white men oppress them about anything. And if they saying something about being oppressed, they bringing it to black men's feet. So it seems like as long as they have the idea that the oppression is coming from a black man, then the oppression is a problem. But as long as a white man is doing it, they don't seem to have a problem with it at all. And I do understand people say, well, the feminists did this and the feminists did that, and then the black feminists got with the white feminists and they did. What did any black feminists have as a problem when it came to white men? I don't see quote unquote feminist black women having any issues with white men or their forms of oppression toward them. I have seen women throw out certain stuff to say y'all oppressed us, and then a black man will say, well, white men did that, and then all of a sudden it's not a problem anymore. They'll just say something like, oh, I thought that was y'all, and then they'll just drop it. So as soon as you inform them that the white man actually did it, now it's not a problem. If you had a problem being oppressed, wouldn't you have a problem no matter what color the man was that did it to you? So is oppression an actual problem for black women? I don't see how. Because as long as he white, she seem to be good with it. Now, I don't know how you have a problem with oppression itself if you good as long as the white man is controlling it. But to say black men oppress you, how? Now I'm gonna say realistic stuff. Even in the small cases where a black man could quote unquote oppress somebody, do black men stop their daughters from doing stuff? No, back in the day, they really didn't stop their daughter. Their daughter do something they wasn't supposed to do. Yeah, there was some form of punishment. Yeah, you had shotgun weddings. That's a man correcting a situation. She went out and got pregnant by a man that don't love her. Your daddy loved you enough that he put a shotgun to somebody to make him marry you and be with you. And you love that man. Daddy didn't like that man. To him, that was just some dude who got his daughter pregnant. But he put life and limb on the line so the man that you fell in love with would marry you. But we oppressing them? If anything, I could say that was a man oppressing another man. He made you marry some woman you didn't love just because you got her pregnant.
They tell a lot of lies and half truths about history. You know, I was talking to my aunt who is in her early 80s, right? And I asked her, I said, you know, Auntie, was there ever a time during your adult life when you could not have a bank account? Because there's this whole argument that, you know, women couldn't have bank accounts until the 70s or some bullshit like that. So this is a woman who's an adult, you know, became an adult in what 1959 or 1960 or whatever. So well before this alleged liberation time. I asked her, had there ever been a time where she didn't have a bank account? She said, no, I've had a bank account, you know, in some form or another since she was 17 years old. 17 years old. This is a woman who was in the Mississippi, was born and raised in the Mississippi Delta, had a bank account. And what there were limitations as to what, in particular, married women could do because of the question of the legal obligation imposed upon that her husband. You know, well back in the day when we had, for example, debtors prisons where you could legally lock someone up. You could lock someone up for an unpaid debt. If a wife incurred a debt and didn't repay it, they didn't lock up the wife. They locked up the husband. And so because of that kind of because the husband was essentially the primary actor in every family, in every household. So that was his legal obligation, even though she might have incurred the debt. It was his legal obligation because he was the he supposedly or was supposed to have legal dominion over that family and that household. So then there were limitations put on what the women can do because of situations like that. But if you were an unmarried woman, yeah, now banks had scrutiny as to who they could lend money to or who they could extend credit to or who whatever, and they could prior to certainly 1964 could decide maybe whether or not they wanted to not lend to women or to give accounts to women. They had that scrutiny. There was no law that specifically prohibited them from being able to lend to extend to allow account savings and checking accounts, etc. too. Yeah, this was a country that, when we talk about slavery, I mean, 40% of the slaveholders were female. So women had much more, in America in particular, had much more power and rights than these women allege. A lot of what they refer to is not historically accurate. And I think it behooves Black men in particular to become much more knowledgeable about the history of things like that, the economic history, social history, legal issues, things like that. So then when you have these inane conversations with women, you can discount and discard a lot of lies that are being told. You can help empower Black men to be much more acutely aware of things.
And I'm glad you asked that question. And I'm going to remind folks of something I've said time and time again. Remember, Black women, one thing you can count on, or you can say two things you can count on. A Black woman going to lie to you and on you as a Black man. You can count on that. So, yes, they will tell us all types of stuff that makes no lick of sense when you actually think about the scenario. It just don't make sense. Just like the idea that Black men oppress women. It don't make sense. And again, y'all, consistently they will make up a story and say they know a person. They may not claim they went through it themselves. They gonna claim they know some woman who was getting beat on, and she would come home. She would get beat on by some guy, husband or not, and he was just forcing her into this bad relationship. And as soon as you start asking her, which is the sad thing that Black men don't do, start asking her about her friend. Well, did she have a key to the place? Was
Well,
she able to
everybody's
go in
got
and out as she wanted to?
supposedly got a grandmother or a great grandmother that was predated on by Papa. Now, of course, there's no way at all at verifying these stories. In fact, not only is there no way of verifying that what grandmother allegedly experienced, there's no way of even verifying whether or not they're lying on their grandmother. So it's a
Absolutely.
myth of a myth of a myth. know, it's like third and fourth generation color purple. Yeah.
And you know, Black Hole, that's why instead of even addressing them on if it's real or not, I asked something to catch them off guard. Did she have a key? You know? Well, I don't know if she had a key. No, give me a reasonable conclusion. Did she have a key? Was she allowed to walk in and out the place when she wanted to? And as soon as they say yeah, which they always go to yeah, because it don't make sense to say she ain't had no key. Then my thing is, how can you confirm she was oppressed when she locked the world out and locked them in? How can you confirm oppression when she's literally locking us out the house? She don't want us involved in a situation. How is that oppressive instead of voluntary? Because I thought when you did something voluntarily, that means that you did what you wanted to do. And that, which means it can't be oppression. You can't come home to the same man every day and then tell me he oppressed you. That don't make a lick of sense at all. If he was oppressing you, he wouldn't let you out the house. But shout out to Elder Blood.
The other thing
let me get this in real quick. Shout out to Elder Blood. He said, Black women don't want to be rich white women. Black women want to be rich, powerful, wealthy beasts. For outside of being the Black man's helpmate, that is all Black women can become. Well, I'm going to say this, Elder Blood. Technically, what you can do is not necessarily confined to what you want to do. So I'm going to say that, no, I can't believe they want to be rich white women. They may not have that ability, but that does not take away the desire. Because ability and desire did not have to coincide. Just saying. But go ahead, what you was going to say, Black Uru.
Well, these story again, these many legends about, men beating on them, they discount for example, how very communal many Black families, many Black areas were. Like, on both sides of my family, my both sides of my family from the Mississippi Delta, both of them were in towns. Although they didn't grow up in the same towns, they grew up in towns that were near each other. I think they were like within like a 20-mile or whatever or so distance from each other. And everybody, very often in these communities, everybody in these, they were aunts and uncles and cousins and extended family in-laws. If you were beating your wife, her brother was going to know about it. Her father was going to know about it. Her cousins were going to know. Her brother, everybody was going to know about it. Her uncles were going to know about it. So it wasn't no thing like you were going to be able for years to be beaten on Glenda or whatever, and at some point, her brothers roll up on your ass. My own uncle rolled up on my dad. And that was the last time my parents were together. So this notion of just there's going to be this extended long term, just some isolated Black women just getting beat on. Again, this color purple thing, folks supposedly getting dragged off somewhere or sold off somewhere. I mean, obviously, in the big whole wide world in history, of course, something like that did happen. But I'm old enough to remember relationships between people, how people live. Even when I grew up in Chicago, a lot of us grew up in communities where we had, extended family, cousins, aunts, and whatever in the same community. So you beating up on some woman in the area, man, you were taking some big risks back then. Not saying it didn't happen, but really, if anything, it's only more recent, maybe, where you could have maybe a kind of abusive thing because feminism liberated women, gave them, housing and stuff like that. So then you had a lot of women, young women or girls even, you're able to move away from their family, move to the projects, et cetera, whatever. But that was by their own choice. It wasn't, more times than not, it was just, I just want to be out here, sport fucking Pookie or whoever. So even just, it's not historical. It's not this whole Black female oppression thing is not historical. It's not.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons I say Black women gonna lie on you, and Black men, or as a Black man, they're gonna lie on you, and as a Black man, they're gonna lie to you. Because when you think about all this stuff, and you start thinking about the stuff in actual real scenarios, yeah, okay, you can claim some Black man beats on this woman, but what her brother gonna do about that? What her daddy gonna do about that? What her uncle gonna do about that? It's a lot of brothers who done caught a lot of fists because they were accused of hitting the woman. They didn't even have to hit her. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all, that's why I've told any woman that I'm gonna have a relationship with. If you tell somebody I beat you up or you get into a fight with me, I'm sending you to a hospital. Why? Because I know your family ain't gonna try to listen to me about nothing. So if you're gonna put me in position where they gonna come looking for me, I'm gonna give them a good reason to come looking. But you gonna suffer a consequence. Ain't gonna be no, I'm just gonna say a man did something and then it's gonna be fought out between the men. No, you're going to the hospital. If I gotta get into it with a group of men, you gotta go to a hospital.
In fact, what I recall, now that I think back on it, very often you would have if things start to get a little tense or whatever, you might have a man call his wife's father, somebody tell him, come get your daughter. I mean was a fairly popular thing back then. Hey, she acting up over here, Sam, or you know, Cleotis. You either come settle her down, or you gonna have to take her back, back over there to your house. That's the kind of thing that happened. Because he didn't want the problem. He didn't want the problem of, okay, I done put hands on her, and now I got to deal with Cleopas and Rufus and them. And let me tell you, ain't too many punks named Cleotis or Rufus. I've known. It just didn't make no punks with those names. Somehow, every Rufus I've ever known is a rough rider, man.
I know a couple of Rufuses. I can agree with that.
Yeah. Rough Riders, you don't want no problem.
I don't know if I know any Cleotises, but I know all the Rufuses I know wasn't to be played with.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of times, it was like sort of a preventative kind of thing. She over here acting up, Cleotis or Leotis or whatever. Yeah, she my wife. I love her, but I don't want to have to do nothing to her. So can y'all come and settle it? I mean, that was a real thing back then. So getting this whole amongst black folks, I cannot account for white people. They Europeans. They came from Europe. They doing all kinds of ghastly shit to each other. So I can't account for what they do at all. But black folks, oh man, we couldn't have been treating black women that way. Not in mass. And here's the thing too, and I'm gonna have to find it. Dr. Tommy Curry recently posted some stuff where it was showing all these statistics of spousal homicide over from like the 30s and the 40s on through to like the 70s and the 80s. And like many of the years listed, there were more dead black husbands than dead black wives in these instances. So a lot of times, black women were doing more killing of black men than in reverse. So I mean, again, all this oppression stuff, man. But it was a very effective tool because it had a lot of support by white women because it served the purposes of white women.
And I remember having a dangerous conversation with a black father because he doing his version of trying to make sure things go right or whatever. So he tell me something like, man, if I ever hear you hit my daughter, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z and all this. And I just told him, sir, respectfully, because I don't mean no disrespect with this. I said I would never just hit your daughter. But if your daughter hit me, I'm going to put her in the hospital. And he was shocked that I said it to him. And I said, no, think about it, sir. When she come back and tell you whatever she said, y'all just gonna come looking for me. And y'all ain't gonna give me a chance to explain anything. So I can guarantee you, man to man, I would never just hit your daughter. But the day she hit me, I'm putting her in the hospital and it's on. It's that simple, bro. When I see y'all, it's on site. I know when y'all see me, it's on site. So just understand it's on from that moment. Because I ain't going to play with you either. And that man actually respected what I said because he knew, thinking about it, that's realistic. If a girl say, this guy touched me to her family members, they just in the trucks looking for people. Somebody got a pickup truck. It's going to be 6 guys in the back, 2 or 3 in the front, and they're going to be looking for you. And that's just the way it goes. So my thing was just don't think I'm playing with you either. So now and I'm basically letting him understand if you think your daughter the type that's gonna do something, the way for you to protect her is to make her understand she don't put her hands on me, because the next place she going is a hospital, and then we gonna sell it out how we got to sell it out. But there's no scenario where she don't go to the hospital. And I stick to that, y'all. And I think more black men need to adopt that. Not that I'm going to promote beat up a woman, but I believe if women knew that they have to go to the hospital for families to get involved like that they have to go, I think they'd keep mess down. Because at the end of the day, it's going to end up being your family versus their family. And if that has to happen, she needs to go to a hospital. To me, that's bare minimum. You know, I would, if I had a daughter,
Well, I
I would
mean, it definitely. I mean, it
go.
definitely puts front and center the gravity of what's going to happen if and when she broaches a certain area. Because for example, I never played with women much in any sort of physical kind of way. I never, did slapping on my wife. Maybe slap her butt, but or just play fighting and whatever. I just never really did that, and I think part of it was because there were some issues with my own parents, and so it was always sort of in the back of my mind about what could go wrong in that regard. I had a couple of incidents with some young women early in my life. A couple that got public, one where police were involved, and I just was always very much on guard for not ever really getting put in a position where police are called. Next thing you know, I'm being dragged off somewhere.
Well, of course, my thing is I don't want things like that to happen, but realistically, because see, I love my family, y'all. If my family got to get into it with your family, and we don't know how many people gonna die and when all this gets settled, if my family life has to be at risk, at bare minimum, she got to go to a hospital. That's the bare minimum. And I mean minimum. I do not mean maximum. That is the bare minimum. Because I don't know what your family got. I know what my family got. And we got some people that ain't no punks in my family. You may have some of yours that ain't no punks. So at the bare minimum, she got to go to the hospital because of so few folks might lose their lives. We ain't gonna just. I don't believe in black men just dying and did nobody go to a hospital. That don't even make sense. But the thing is, the women are never put at risk, so they keep up all kinds of nonsense. But because everybody knows this is a real thing when it comes to black families, that they will ride out for some woman without even really know what's going on. They just doing some emotional stuff and they getting into it with other people. Now, how do you explain that while also accepting that black women are getting oppressed? Or any woman that black men are dealing with are being oppressed? Because how do you have a culture where people want to go ride out for the girl who claims she was hit or something bad happened to her? How do you have that culture where people want to go ride out for and the oppression of black women at the same time? See, when you put your thinking cap on, it don't make no sense. Now, if you never think about it, sure, you can accept it. But when you put your thinking cap on, you a lot of stuff that we told don't make any sense anymore. Now I can't tell you about what every individual woman did, but you understand. If you're a black man, you understand the black family culture. And when some woman says somebody did something, we just ride now. We know that. How do you get to be that way while black women is being oppressed? It don't come together like that.
I mean, a lot of I think about every whenever you hear about particular incidents, shootings or in some cases even deaths in Chicago in particular, since Chicago has a Chirac rep, and very often, some material percentage of those incidents, I would peg somewhere in the range of at least a quarter to perhaps even as high as 30, a third, or 33 and third percentile of those incidents involve some woman. Either intimate situation or kin or semi or pseudo kin situation. So in this impressive environment of black women, you have black men, and they're often risking, and in some cases even giving and taking lives, all because of this so-called oppression of black women.
Yep. Some woman make a claim, 5 dudes die. And all I'm saying is that don't make sense that we should accept stuff like that as a black community. A woman makes a claim and then 5 guys gotta die? No, that see, I believe in if something
All for
has
her
to go
honor.
down. I'm sorry, what's that, Black Guru?
All for her honor. all for the honor of oppressing her, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying black men need to take this into consideration. If we got to fight for them, they got to go down too. Don't tell me you got beat up and you ain't at the hospital. I don't even want to hear it. Don't even involve me. If you didn't care enough to hit him back, then it ain't that big a deal. You didn't move out. So you mean he hit you and you didn't move out on him? But he can't be hitting on me all the time, but you're not going to break up with him? All right, well, ain't nothing for me to do then. Now, if she go to the hospital, okay, cool. Then I can ask her what she want to do after she go to a hospital. But I ain't fighting for no woman who won't leave a man. I ain't doing all that. It's just not that serious to me. And people can say whatever they want to say, but I think a lot of black men, we do stuff because we worried about how we're going to look to other women. Oh, you're going to look like a coward. So if somebody punch your sister in the face, you ain't going to do nothing? No, I do plenty to you if you punch my sister in the face. But if the guy she having sex with punch in the face, I ain't doing squat. She ain't no victim. She got keys. You can't tell me you got keys and be a victim at the same time. I ain't doing that one. And if my sister don't care enough to leave him, why would I go get into it with her? Okay, I don't expect to lose, but what if I did? So now I'm in the hospital because I attacked the man that she is cool with hitting on her? How that make my world better? What if I go over there and he pull that thing out on me? One of my past shows, I remember covering a young lady who went to 2 of her brothers and said the man did something to him. They went straight over into dude's house to quote unquote check him, and neither one of them made it out alive.
Yeah.
And she's still having sex with him. Done been to their funerals and still giving it up to, to him. Well, they shouldn't have broke in. Well, they shouldn't have just came in uninvited. Wait, do y'all understand the gravity of a situation where a woman can tell her brothers to go attack a man for doing something to her? They both dead and she's still with the man. He done put a bullet in both of them. And she at the funeral and probably went to their funerals, probably came right home and probably had sex that night. She had sex with her brother's killer that night, 9 times out of 10. Because what do women do in these mournful situations? Let's be realistic. A lot of them gonna have sex. That's how a lot of them deal with mourning over somebody. They have sex. So you think she's not gonna have sex with the same guy that killed them? And that was the guy she was having sex with before they got killed, on her word, doing something dumb by going into his house to check him about his woman? Well, that's my sister, but that's his woman though. And now they both dead. What y'all think she broke up with him because he, He was putting that dick on all this time. You think she broke up with him because her brothers are dead? You got to be real with yourself. Do y'all really think a woman gonna stop having sex with that man because you, her brother, got involved in business that ain't yours, because that's between them two, but you was there about your sister's honor? If she had some honor, why she taking dick from the man that's beating her? That's all I'm saying. Because I get it. The easy way out is say, Roger, you a coward. That's the easy way out. But the sensible way out is if she was offended, she wouldn't be taking dick from him. So that's how I'm looking at it. If you willing to take dick from him, whatever he did to you ain't that bad. Do you got keys?
Yeah.
Because that's all I'm going to ask you. He hit me. Do you got keys? Can you leave in and out as you want to? Yeah, I have went to a woman's home to help her move out. Why? Because she thought the guy was going to hit her. Now, I'm going to say in her case, she was smart to leave when she thought the guy might hit her because he hit somebody else. So she was like, I got to check out but he come at me. I got to get out this thing. Yeah, okay, I go over there to move out. Cool, no problem, no big deal. But what's the thing? The relationship over with. She done already. I can't save you from your man. That don't even make sense to me. Don't even call me about your man. I don't want to help you do something to your man. No, I'm not. I ain't playing them games. Am I scared? No. I'm not. It ain't worth my time. Why would I go fight for some woman who want to have sex with the guy that I'm supposed to be fighting? It just don't make sense in any context. I'm finna go fight him and you want to have sex with him? Man, please. You know? And y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. I don't even want a ripped shirt and she gonna be riding dude within the next 24 hours. I don't even want my shirt ripped and she jumping on top of him in 24 hours or less. Nah, she ain't gonna even buy me a new shirt. I'll go over there and fight for you. She ain't gonna even replace my. Hey, I went over there. Yeah, I knocked him out for you, but he grabbed my shirt on the way down. Now my shirt got ripped. You gonna pay for it? What's a woman likely gonna say? No. So you ain't gonna even pay for the shirt your man ripped, and I knocked him out for you. Come on now. Now I get it, y'all. You can say Roger coward. No, Roger make calculations that make a difference to his life. I ain't making all them calculations that make a difference to her life. I'm making calculations that make a difference to my life. Why would I be out of a shirt and all she gonna do is have sex with the dude the next night? That ain't what I bought the shirt from. I bought the shirt so I can wear what I want to wear. Now he rip it up. I can't wear it like I want to wear it. So why would I do that for some woman I'm not having sex with? But that's your sister, Roger, and I don't have sex with my sister, so I don't know what to tell you. That ain't how Roger going with it. Now, if you want to fight for yours, knock yourself out. But I ain't too much finna fight over no woman I don't have sex with. You know, very rare that scenario gonna pop up. Now, I would join the fight if my guy is with me and his girl get attacked and we fighting the people that attacked his girl. Cool. I can do that. But no, I don't too much volunteer to fight over women I don't have sex with. I don't just volunteer for that stuff. If it has to happen, it has to happen. But the last thing I'm gonna fight is your man. You cannot have sex with the guy I'm fighting for on your behalf. That's just not gonna work for me. Just is what it is. And guess what? If you was forced to be with him, then I can understand it as some level of oppression. But women got keys, man. Because I be asking. Yes, I am an a-hole sometimes. That's how people say it. You an a-hole. Why would you even ask her that? No, I be asking. Do you got keys to the apartment? Yeah, I got keys. Why would you ask me that? Well, then I ain't fighting for you. And women have to say, well, what you mean? And I say, no, if you were having sex with the man, you got keys to go in and leave and do as you please, I'm not getting involved. And I done told women, I'm just not getting involved. You got keys. If it's that bad, just leave. If you believe you're being oppressed, move in with somebody else. If you're not gonna leave, I can't say you're oppressed. That's just how it worked for me. And I ain't never coming off that. Oppressed people don't get choices. People who have a choice are volunteering for whatever they receive. It's that simple at the end of the day. So, if you got a job you don't like, find another one. If you stay at that job, that means you want to keep working there. You know, some people gonna say, well, it ain't like they just giving out jobs like that. My daddy told me, if won't nobody give you a job, give yourself one. In America, that's still legal to do. And then people say, well, Roger, it ain't that easy. Who said it had to be easy? Ain't hard stuff for adults? Ain't that the part of being an adult, to do the hard stuff? So I ain't giving out no excuses, and I don't make no excuses. If you being oppressed, show me you oppressed before you ask for my help. Tell me how you left and he's stalking you. Tell me how he found you at your new place, and then you want me to get involved. See, something like that I can accept. He found you, not you gave him the address to your new place. He found you at your new place. Say, okay, then, okay, maybe there is something to this story. If he's tracking her like that and he's tracking her down. But no, you don't get to say, well, we was talking, I gave him my new address. No, I ain't coming over there for you. You gave him that so he'll have sexual access to you. I'm not involved with myself. It's that simple at the end of the day. Shout out to Bucket. He said, my cousin is moving, Roger. Can you help me move? Have her husband call me about that. That's what you do. Okay, that's your cousin. And if you're going to help her, I can understand you want to help her. If she want me to help her move, she going to have to pay me, or she need to let me talk to her husband. And that's real talk. Okay? Now, I appreciate you, Bucky. I can accept you going to help your cousin. But her husband need to ask for my help because I can't just come in, and maybe that's against her husband's will that she's doing something. I don't know what's going on, brother. I don't know what's going on. Have her husband call me, we'll talk. He say facts, Roger, so I see he get it. Yeah, Joe. People want me to help them. I got to go through proper channels. Let me talk to their husband about what you're doing. That's what I want to talk to.
So,
but
Roger, I just got one question. You mean that you trying to tell me that they don't have a bunch of women chained down in the basement? All these brothers got women just locked down. They can't get nowhere. Can't go nowhere.
Brother, I literally started asking that questions for just because of accusations like that, where they saying they can't do this and they can't do that. And I've literally asked women, were you chained up? I mean, how does he keep you in the apartment? And they have to admit that he don't. And I'd be like, so you go home every day to the man that you claim is beating on you? Well, yeah, I gotta go. I was like, no, you don't got to. You in America. You don't actually have to go. So why do you go? And I done heard every excuse under the book, y'all. Well, my kids live there. So why your kids live with a guy who's beating on you? Yeah, is that the kid's father? No, it ain't the kid's father. This don't make no sense. Why your kids live with a man who beating on you? It's not even their daddy. See, when you actually talk to women who make these claims and you don't just react to them emotionally, you find a lot of nonsense going on. See, I don't just jump because women tell some sob story. Now, I heard sob stories plenty a day, but I don't just jump because they're telling a sob story. And trust me, y'all, there's many a woman who's looked at me and say, he's a good man. Since we having lunch, let's go sit by Roger so they can tell their story. And Roger's going to be emotionally moved and offer the help. That's what they was gunning for. At the end, y'all know how women talk to you and they're always trying to tell you something, looking for you to make an offer. I don't make offers like that. And then they'll start trying to really push it. Then I'm gonna start asking some questions. I'm like, dang, so you gotta call him every time you leave the job so you can get in the house? She be like, no. I'd be like, well, how you get in the crib every day once you leave the job? Well, I got keys to get in. Oh, you got keys, so you're not oppressed. See, that's how I'm doing them. You're not oppressed. You got keys to get in, so you lock the world out when you go in, but you want me to get involved. Yeah, I ain't doing that one. Don't make sense to me. Shout out to Elder Blood one more time. He says, Roger, that was rampant even on the plantation. Black women with black men by day and in bed with white men by night. It's 2026, and that's still rampant. And that's why. And you make a good point about that. So my thing is, black women ain't too oppressed, because even when it comes to that white man, they want to sleep with him. They don't seem to have no problem when he doing the oppression. And every time I talk to black, I be waiting for a black woman to tell me a white man oppressed me, y'all. Do y'all know in my entire life, I've yet to hear one black woman admit that a white man oppressed them? Even though I've tried to steer the conversation in that direction, I ain't heard one of them yet admit that white men oppressed them. Now, what am I supposed to do with a group of women who can't even admit a white man oppressed them, but can't explain how black men did it, but swear they getting oppressed? So you got to ask yourself a question. Are they truly being oppressed? Because if you are truly being oppressed and you are an adult above 18 years old and you are not slow, how come you can't explain it? But y'all, we are at the 3-hour mark. So I'm going to give these two gentlemen a chance to make a final statement. I'm going to close this thing on out. So, Tunnel Runner, any final statement you want to deal with about black women being oppressed? While we as black men
Yes.
just won't stop.
Black men, protect yourself at all times. Don't let these crazy people make you crazy.
All right. Black Rule, like I said, when I caught you, you was in Mr. Z's show. I caught you in the comment section where you said something about we need to have an honest talk about about women being oppressed. I hope this was a good enough version of an honest talk about women being oppressed. And y'all, I'm gonna say, I know what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna go back and listen to the first hour of this show when I was saying that stuff, because I got a little caught up in my own storytelling. Because I'm good, y'all. I'm good. So I got a little caught up in my own storytelling, and it was so funny to me. I just kept going. So my apologies if I went too long, too far. But I tried to make sure we had an honest conversation about women being oppressed. And I just don't see where black men would fit in a conversation about a woman's oppression. I just don't see where we fit. So I hope I did you proud. If I didn't, that's okay. I at least attempted to. But any last words you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think you did a wonderful job of conveying the messaging that I wanted to that was sort of the inspiration of your show on what I said on Mr. Z show. I think we need to start becoming in this war. Maybe war isn't a term we should use, but certainly in this formulation of the position of black men going forward in terms of creating a society by, for, about black men. We do need to become much more astute in history, in the specifics, and the facts of our history and our society to protect ourselves intellectually, mentally, and emotionally from the assaults that have been made against us. Rhetoric, media, the academy, the university have been very powerful tools in, ironically, oppressing black men by asserting us as being oppressors when, again, logistically, historically, it just was not. It was not even possible for us to do such, even if it was of our choosing to be that. We just could not have been that kind of person in America. So great job, Roger. Thanks for doing the show, and I look forward to doing more shows similar like this.
All right, y'all. Well, I ain't gonna say too much. I'm gonna let y'all know I'm gonna go back and we'll listen to the first hour of today's show for my own enjoyment, because it was that good to me. Sometimes you gotta pat yourself on the back. It was that good to me. Hilarious, hilarious. But shout out to black women. If y'all are out here being oppressed with keys in your pocket, I'm gonna say use the key and leave. Okay, if you believe you're being oppressed, take the key that you have, unlock the door, and go somewhere else. Okay, just go somewhere else. There's all kind of places you can go. You don't have to go to that particular place. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Real talk, y'all. But y'all, thank you for joining me over here at the Roger Report Live. Thank you for everybody who came up. We gonna have more fire shows for you. That's what we do around these parts. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do this at 9 a.m. Chicago time, y'all. 9 a.m. Chicago time. Not where you live. 9 a.m. Chicago time. Shout out to Trail Bentley, not Joliet time. Yeah, Trail, I seen you talking to Mrs. E's chat too. Okay, not Joliet time. Chicago time. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Hit that like button if you ain't hit it. I know there's a lot of stuff this morning where you might have been laughing, so you ain't hit that like button yet. Hit it on the way out. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.